an organization that gathered the forces of 9 clans and 5 great clans, for the sake of keeping the peace in Mirim. Many families and small clans united under the name of Jiampa. This is how the White Island Mirim Union was born. A shaman named Kwag Yun was the first leader of the Mirim and began the fight against Magio. There was something that people didn't know about, a hidden group of Umbu called the Black Flower. Mirim was called Light, and Black Flower was called Darkness. They had 3 tasks: secret assassinations, machinations, and information gathering. In this way, they became an organization whose strength was feared even by Safa and Magio. The leader of the Black Flower was the legendary Commander-in-Chief Kui Myung-gok. No one knew his true identity because he always wore a ghostly mask. He existed, but at the same time, he did not exist. Kuan Yin called out to Chang. He wanted to know if Chang would take off his mask in front of him. But Chang replied that he does not take it off during missions. It's been 20 years since Chang ruled the Black Flower. The military conflict with Magio had subsided, and it was time for Black Flower to disband. The leader suggested that Chang stop doing this dirty work, but he said he was fine. Kuan Yin was not satisfied with that answer. Chang recalled his childhood, when the Commander-in-Chief gave him his hand when he was young. They were very close. The leader of Mirim decided to establish a military institution. In order to have peace in Mirim, young warriors must be educated. He planned to mentor them with the best masters. He wanted Chang to become one of those masters. He also said that it was an order and not to be discussed. Chang said he would follow the order. News of the opening of the Beck school in the Mirim Union spread throughout the White Isle. All the clans and families began to prepare. Suddenly, the nanny appeared and asked the prince why he was practicing again. The prince replied that he had to work hard not to be worse than his brothers and sisters. He did not consider himself a genius, one of the 5 noble families that had gained mighty power by participating in the war against Magio. The current head of the family was Namgung Cho. All of his children were called geniuses. They were recognized as true talents capable of leading the next generation. However, the youngest son of the Namgung family was considered completely untalented. Nanny told Namgung that the head was asking everyone to gather. The prince was very surprised by this. Namgung Cho informed everyone that a school, the Beck Military Academy, had been established in Mirima. Namgung Il volunteered to represent the family. He really asked his father to send him to the academy. Namgung Song was the second heiress, and also claimed a place in the academy. Namgung Wei, who was the 3rd heir of the family, entered the controversy. Namgung He could not keep silent, and summarized the heated argument by saying that it would be better if her father decided. The prince was upset that it had nothing to do with him. His father was at a loss as to what decision to make. Namgung Il, unable to stand it, wailed furiously that he wanted to go to Beck Academy more than anyone else. After a brief pause, the father sternly ordered everyone to be silent, and focused his gaze on the 4th heir. The head said that Namgung Mei would go. There was no limit to the heir's surprise. His task was to represent the family at Beck Military Academy. Namgung Mei didn't let his father disobey him, and timidly gave his consent. On his first day in the training arena, the heir apparent took his first fight. Namgung Il used the blue sky sword technique and the 2-headed dragon needle. Taking on the full power of these techniques, Namgung Mei was without his sword in a matter of seconds. The eldest heir was upset by his father's decision to send his younger brother as their family's representative. Namgung Il told Namgung Mei that he didn't have enough skills to attend Beck Academy. He also said he'd be back in 3 months, and promised to cover for him with his father if he returned. Namgung Mei was very impressed to see the Mirim Union in front of him. It seemed to him that all the applicants were the same age as him. The heir was puzzled why his father sent him to study, as he considered himself the weakest compared to his brothers. Namgung Mei watched the guys getting to know each other. Namgung Mei thought that everyone in this place had great promise. There were also questions in his mind as to whether the many arrivals to Mirim from the distinguished clans and families had come. Suddenly, a very loud and stern voice sounded. Teacher Kumak Ho, nicknamed the Great Swordsman, stood in front of the students. Many people began to admire him, recognizing him as the Great Swordsman, who with a twist of his huge sword fends off opponents. Kumak Ho immediately said that from now on, he would begin studying at Beck Military Academy, and learning martial arts. The teacher asked everyone to read the list in which the students are categorized according to their skills. The academy divides its students into 12 classes, according to the 12 animals of the Eastern calendar. They are rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog, and snake. Namgung may realize that he was in the snake class. He also kept reasoning that if one of his mentors was a great swordsman, then the other teachers would be Champa masters as well. Arriving at the snake arena, the disciples froze in confusion. Suddenly, an ominous voice called out to them, whether everyone had gathered in place or not. One of the students raised his head to the sky and exclaimed. Everyone looked up and saw silhouettes floating in the sky. Teacher Yang Jun-hyuk appeared in front of them. The students felt a very strong energy from him. A discussion began between the students that this person was a master nicknamed Little Sword Ghost. To everyone's surprise, Yang Jun-hyuk informed everyone that he had not appeared to them as a teacher, but as vice-chancellor. Namgung Mei was surprised that such a powerful master was only a vice-chancellor, and wondered who would be their master then. The heir reasoned that even though he's only in the academy for 3 months, but in that time he can become stronger. Hoping that Hyung would recognize him, Yang Jun-hyuk proudly announced that their mentor was a mirim legend. During the bloody war of the 3 currents, he single-handedly slit the throat of the Magio Bad Blood faction, and thus won victory for the Mirim alliance. Their teacher stood on the very front lines of Mirim, repelling the attacks of Magio's opponents. At the same time, the commander-in-chief of the Black Flower organization was Kui Myung-deok. Yang Jun-hyuk asked the students to greet their mentor. The students saw the silhouette of the teacher in the distance. As they emerged from the darkness, a tall, dark-haired warrior stood before them. When they saw him, they all had the same question in their minds: what was the stranger's name? The teacher introduced himself, saying his name was Kim Myung-deok. He was dressed entirely in black. Kim Myung-deok explained that they're in the Snake Squad, and that's why he's their teacher. Mirim's leader, Kwag-yoon, leaned thoughtfully over the table pondering whether Kim Myung-deok would carry out Kim Myung-deok's orders. He was also worried about whether he would take off the mask during the meeting with the students if he went to the academy. He wondered if it would be a success. Namgung Mei looked at his teacher Kim Myung, and judging from his physique, he looked very weak. Yang Jun told the boys that their teacher Kim Myung had come to the academy at the invitation of the head of the union. Had all the boys heard of the Black Flower organization, he asked. Namgung Mei was frightened when he heard about the Black Flower, because he had heard about it before. The boys began to doubt their teacher, because they saw him as a cripple. Yang Jun heard the guys' discussion, and told them that this was an exam, and they didn't need to send a fake teacher. Yang Jun saw that the children were not paying attention to them, and loudly told them that when they saw the teacher, they should greet him. But suddenly, Yang Jun used his power and put all the children on the ground. Namgung Mei thought that it looked like his teachers had some hidden talents. Yang Jun didn't want to hurt his teacher either, so when he saw him on the ground, he asked if he was alright. Namgung Mei saw this, and wondered why he had fallen suddenly. Yang Dong said that he would think that the guys were ignoring him too, since they were treating Kim Myung's teacher like that. Yang Dong lined them up and said that he would check if everyone was here. But suddenly he said Moon Bo's name. When the girl saw him, she said that he was Moon Bo from the Moon family, called the Young Dragon. It is said that in addition to his genius, he is also handsome and kind. The boy humiliated himself by saying, why is the world so unfair, and why was he born when there is Moon Bo? Namgung Mei was surprised to see this guy too, because he had heard that the relationship between his father and the Moon family wasn't so cordial. Perhaps this guy would hate him too. One Bei's disciple is the heart of the Shaolin, and Namgung Mei thinks this kid is really strong. Shaolin rarely acts in the name of maintaining neutrality. But Beck Academy is outstanding. But now he will also be able to see the mastery of Shaolin with his own eyes thanks to Wen Fi. The disciple of Che Galmi and her kind are the advisors of the Mirima Alliance. It is a family that combines intelligence and skillful fighting skills. Namgung Mei once met the Che Gao clan at a gala, and apparently he can't get good grades when there are so many prodigies around him. But he knew her very well before, even to the point of friendship. But finally, the last student said the teacher was Namgung Mei. When they heard his name, they started saying mean things about him. The guys said that they had heard that Namgung Mei was almost unable to use his internal energy. In a word, he was useless. Yang Jun asked his teacher what's wrong with him. Is something wrong? The teacher raised his head and whispered something in Yang Jun's ear, but all of a sudden, Yang Jun told all the guys that that was it for today. Now, let them go to the dormitory and unpack their bags. After that, let them wait for the announcement about the classes. Namgung Mei was surprised and didn't think they would only check attendance today. Entering the snake class dormitory, the students were dissatisfied because the mirim gate looked more luxurious than their room, which looked more like a barn. The guys noticed that the student from the Moon family doesn't like their room either. Maybe this place is like Konoha to him. But Moon said nothing and sat down on his bed and started meditating with breathing exercises. The guys started discussing Namgung Mei and pretended not to see him, but he actually heard everything and kept quiet. When he noticed Moon Bo behind him, he had heard about him from his older brother. He said that if he and Moon Bo were the same age, they would be equal opponents in strength. It was the first time that Hyung recognized the strength of the Hyudishisu. Namgung Mei remembered his words, telling him that he had to come back in 3 months. Namgung Mei picked himself up and took a stick and walked outside, hoping that in 3 months his abilities would be recognized. The guys in the room began to panic because they had no information. To expect an announcement about the beginning of classes one name from this Muriam.in fact, there is no order. The boy suggested that they should probably go to an inn so they wouldn't die here. He had heard that the food at Hanam's diner was very good. The guys decided to invite the girls to go with them, in hopes of getting to know them better. Days and nights passed, but Namgung Mei kept practicing and did not notice how fast the time flew. He had a goal and wanted to achieve it. After a week, Yang Jun came into the room and said that their classes would start soon and everyone should get ready. Namgung was surprised that their first class would start at Beck Military Academy, so he decided to show all his strength. Namgung Mei didn't like it and didn't understand why the teacher was picking on him, but no one expected such events when the teacher said that the names he didn't name were out. They could pack their bags. Namgung Mei couldn't believe his teacher's words and now he was crying for 3 months. Would he really go home after a week? The kids asked what the teacher was talking about. What's a departure? There's no mention of an exception in the admission requirements. Yang Jun was enraged and pulled out his sword and said that just now, did the guys obey the teacher's instructions? The teacher patted Jan's shoulder and told him it was okay. The guys should know why they were expelled. The teacher explained that they had been following them all this week, studying their habits, their character, their peculiarities. And they had learned a lot. Namgung didn't know why he was being excluded because he had been practicing all this time. By the way, the teacher and Jan signaled them that they were being watched. But none of the excluded noticed anything. Namgung loaded himself up and couldn't understand how he didn't notice he was being followed. The teacher asked. Now they all understood. The students were outraged because the teacher didn't talk about the exam. It doesn't count. The teacher confirmed that they didn't say it was an exam. However, he couldn't call it an injustice. So he decided to give them another chance to those who had dropped out. He told them to spar with Vice Chancellor Yang. If they can just hurt him, they'll be accepted. The guys on reflection said that this sparring is the same as just leaving. Maybe they should really go home. Namgung Mei clenched his fist and repeated that he only needed to hurt Yang. He still has a chance to stay. Now it's time for sparring. Yang told the teacher that he was starting. Taking a stick from his feet, he told them that they could all attack at once. He would use this stick to fight back. The guys were very angry and one of them said that if they all attacked together, they would have a better chance of getting credit. Yang used the wind technique and told them that their inventions were very inappropriate. It was a pity to even waste energy on them, so he decided that he wouldn't use it. The boy used his air wall attack, but it went wrong. Yang told him that this attack didn't look like a 10, but he could still be applauded. The guys were all trying to touch him, but no one could do it. Jen said that not even 2 hours had passed before they were all exhausted. The guys all started to doubt themselves and saw that there was too much difference in skills between them, and decided to quit. The teacher heard these words and said that was the end of it, but strangely enough, someone told him to wait. It was Namgung Mei, who was holding a stick. Yang saw him and realized that Namgung hadn't given up. However, his breathing was terrible. He had almost used up all his energy. Why was he still willing to fight? Namgung felt that his energy was almost at zero and his beating technique was not helping. and Yan had already learned all of his attacks beforehand. That leaves him with only one option. Gather all his remaining energy and strike. Yan looked at this boy and said that sometimes it's better to just give up. He dodged the blow. Namgung thought that if he attacked in the direction where Yan was rooted, he would be able to touch him. Yen did a somersault and told the guy that he had a good attempt. However, his energy was not enough. When Namgung heard about the energy, he decided to use it even more. Even though his father told him not to, he would be expelled if he didn't. Yang turned around and said that Namgung Mei had surrendered. But when he saw him, he was surprised because this guy had changed his appearance with energy. When he was a kid, some guy told little Namgung Mei to eat one balloon, which was very good for his body. The little boy ate it without knowing anything. He suddenly felt sick and the assistant brought him to Namgung's house. The head asked what happened to his son. The aide said that it seems that the younger prince was poisoned. The head got angry and said who dared to do such a thing in the Namgung family? Let everyone find the culprit now. He will decide what to do with him. The advisor told the head that since the first heir's birthday was approaching, there were many guests visiting the palace. It will take time to check them all. When suddenly the boy interrupted their conversation because of his bloody cough. The aide saw the head's eyes and said that the most important thing now is not the capture of the criminal, but the condition of the younger heir. The head remembered that they have a miracle antidote. Immediately use it to cure his son. The assistant thought about it, and said that it looks like all the signs of poisoning, but at the same time it feels like it's not. The head thought about the assistant's words and didn't understand anything. The assistant said that the boy was contaminated by another energy. The head asked, "Isn't that sanguine poison?" The aide said no, if it was sanguine poison, the energy would start to disappear, but it is gathering in the boy. This is the first time he has seen this kind of poison. Taking matters into his own hands, the head said that it was necessary to prevent him from mixing with Mei's innate true energy. The head managed to rid the boy of this poison. Days and nights passed, but the boy still did not wake up. The head took him in his arms one night and said that from now on, he would not be able to store internal energy. The more he uses his inner energy, the easier it is for the poison to take hold of him. He's sorry his father couldn't cure him. At the exam, Yan had already thought that Namgung Mei had already used up all his energy. But where would he get that energy from now? But still his attack was useless, which Yan easily evaded. Namgung told Yan that you can't move, you must attack. The teacher looked at the boy and noticed something familiar to him. Yan looked at him and saw that the boy's movements had grown noticeably. Was he hiding this power? The boy kept falling and falling, but he couldn't just give up. Yan told him that his spirit was simply unshakable, let him attack again. But suddenly, at the moment of the attack, the teacher intervened and put his body under the attack. Yan saw them on the floor and asked the teacher if he was okay. Teacher said he's fine and the fight is over. He needs to take Namgung Mei to the infirmary. He passed the test. Ian started to resent him, because no one was hurting him. The teacher pointed his finger at Yang's clothes and said that he was only talking about hurting the opponent. The teacher brought him to the infirmary, and when he saw Namgung Mei's body, he used his energy to suck out the boy's energy. When he looked at his hand, his guess was right. But suddenly Jan knocked and came in, asking about the boy's condition. The teacher said he was fine. The teacher nudged Jan that he wanted to tell him something. Jan said it was a cut on his side left by the teacher, right? The teacher smiled and said that it sounded like Yang was sure of what he was saying. Yang asked him why he let Namgung Mei pass. The teacher thought about what to say but couldn't explain it to him. Ian lowered his head and accepted the teacher's decision. On a dark night, it was reported to the head of Namgung that the youngest heir had been assigned to the snake class. The head said he understood. But he knew that the teacher of this group was Queen Myung Deok from the Black Flower group. The next morning, Namgung Mei slowly tried to open his eyes and saw the teacher in front of him, making them scared together. But then Jan came in and asked what was wrong. When he saw the teacher and the boy in front of him, he thought for a moment. The teacher asked the boy if he had regained consciousness. Namgung said yes, but he didn't know how he ended up in the infirmary. The teacher asked him if he remembered anything at all. Or does he remember up to a certain point? Namgung said that he had to pass by all means. He had reached the limit of using internal energy. Namgung scratched his head and said no. The teacher understood him, because he had the same thing. Teacher said that even though he doesn't remember anything else, he has passed the test. And as far as he can see, Namgung is feeling better, so he should go and greet the rest of the team. Arriving at the snake training arena, the teacher said that there were now 5 of them in the class. Despite any difficulties, they must now move and accomplish missions as one body. The team leader will be responsible for leading all the other members of the class and for helping him, but he will not be the one to choose the captain. As they complete the tasks, they will choose which one of them will be in charge. For 1 month, let them evaluate each other's abilities. Disciple Bo recalled his old memories of his father telling him that he could see his son's progress. But to become the next head of their family, he must not be satisfied with his current successes. He may be called a genius among the people, but his ability is still not enough for a great man of the Moon family. Moon said that he knows that he will dedicate himself to training. He will definitely become the next head of the Moon family. He will enter Beck Academy and achieve great accomplishments. His father said that their Moon family must excel above all others by all means. Bo has set a goal for himself to become team captain. This will be his first Moon family honor. Namgung also thought, if he becomes captain, after 3 months, Hen will recognize him. The teacher said it was time to start the first lesson and handed out a sack with a very valuable item in it. Whoever looks inside gets the lowest score. They have to get the bag safely to the top of the mountain, and the points will be distributed in the order of arrival at the destination. In 30 minutes they have to go to the mountain, but no one knows what dangers will await them. The boys started their first lesson and headed for the mountain. Namgung noticed that all the boys were talented. They were the same age, but their ability to float in the air was something. But suddenly Moon spotted a trap underneath him, and with his energy he would destroy them all. But that was only a fraction of the traps. The hard part was ahead. Namgung arrived at the trap site and stopped to think, what happened here? Did the guys really go through all those traps? Namgung began to doubt himself and his abilities, and even considered giving up the idea of becoming a commander. The teacher and Jan were waiting for them on the mountain. Moon said that he had arrived. Yang was surprised that he had gotten there so quickly. Teacher told Moon to open the bag. When he opened the bag, he was surprised and upset. There was a dead bird in there. The teacher told Chegalmi, One Fi, Unrin to open their bags. When they opened the bags they all saw a sparrow bird that lay dead and gave no hope of life. Namgung came to the mountain and when he saw the guys he thought he was the last and failed the task. When he saw the guys open bags, he decided to open them too. He saw that there was a sparrow inside, but for some reason it didn't move. The teacher came and looked at it, and said that it restored blood circulation. But suddenly, the sparrow woke up and flew up with bright flaps, which made Namgung surprised and smiled. Chegal said that since Namgung was the last one to arrive, it's no wonder he's so energetic. The teacher walked over to Moon and said that this was the very valuable item he had mentioned earlier. Moon surprisingly asked, Is the bird so important? The teacher said that the pouch was not just a bird, but a life. The reason why Jianpa is different from Magi and Saf. It's the power to protect others. Magi came first, but the bird is dead. That's why Main gets the lowest score. The teacher told Namgung that he came later than everyone else and the bird survived. However, Namgung also gets the lowest score. The first place is Jigomi, the second place is One Fi and the third place is Unrin. When Moon heard the results, he turned his back and walked away. Jan stopped him and asked him where he had gone in the middle of class. The teacher told him to ignore it, so he needed time to think. The guys were given permission to rest, and they all gathered together in a circle. Namgung decided to meet a guy from the Shaolin Temple, but the boy was silent and Namgung thought he didn't want to talk to him. Suddenly the boy took out a notebook and wrote his name on it, and by order of the senior monk he was told to be silent. The guys were all looking at each other, but no one wanted to talk to anyone. Suddenly, Chegal heard voices in the bushes and didn't give a hoot. It was the guys from the academy who must have gotten lost. The guy from Tang Vai's pig class said that this is the training place of another class. But strangely enough, Tang Wei recognized Namgung Mei and asked him what he was doing here. Namgung was very surprised when he saw the guy. Tang Wei was from Seichengdang, one of the 5 great families that among the Jianpa White Island uses secret weapons, poison attacks, and any method to achieve victory. The second guy's name was Hyunmu Ji. He was also from the pig class. He asked if the dumbass heir from the Namgung family had entered Beck Academy. Tang Vai asked what class is it? Namgung said he got into the snake class. Tang Vai said that the selection critics for this class are below par. Since even a scum like Namgung may came to this class, did his family members share their power with him? Or is there someone on the side? Tang Wei asked. Namgung smiled. But he knew that behind the back of the Secundan family, this Tang Vai was engaged in bullying. But suddenly, Chegal stood up and asked them what they were doing in a foreign team. Seeing a familiar girl, Tang Vai was surprised. Chegal was very angry and told Tang Vai to get the hell out of here. Tang Vai said that she's an arrogant Chegal family and advisor to the Mirim Union. If she doesn't want to become an enemy of the Chegal family, then she should keep quiet. But suddenly Moon came in and told Tang Vai to get out of here. The boy immediately turned into a boy and told Moon that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. They had seen each other once at a meeting of the 5 great families. Moon said he doesn't know anything and doesn't remember him. Tang Vai grabbed his shoulder and said that their fathers know each other, and knowing that, he dares to ignore him. Moon felt his hand, and taking it he rolled over and asked, "What does this have to do with them?" Moon let him go and told him not to pretend they were close. Tang Vai was angry and couldn't understand how he dared to insult him in front of everyone. Tang Vai didn't want to let this go unpunished and attacked him with a poisonous lotus dagger. But Moon saw this in time and slashed at his hand and broke his finger. Tang Vai started screaming in pain, but Moon couldn't stop there and started attacking him further. At this point, Ian came over and grabbed his arm and asked him if he was going to kill his comrade. Moon let him go and turned around without saying anything. Yang saw Tang Vai's broken fingers and sent him to the infirmary. Teacher also came over and said that Moon's facial expression was very angry. Yang said that he was worried because Moon Bo's attack style was very powerful. The teacher said he doesn't know, and he's not worried about it. Everything about this guy is great. The next day the guys went up to the mountain and heard a strange voice. It was a teacher who said that by training a person can fight. This is the way of training that was founded in the Union. But suddenly, the teacher fell to the ground and Yang ran over to help him. Namgung wondered at the teacher. He did about 30 times. Is it really all that much harder than it looks? The teacher told the boys to do Sakathka 1,000 times without using their internal energy. The boys immediately began the task. The teacher told them to bend their legs more, so they could imagine they were riding a horse. It was time for a break, and you could tell from Namgung's look how hard it was. He said it was not training, but torture. He's been practicing every day to catch up with his siblings' abilities. But how do the other kids keep up? But suddenly he saw a shadow, and it was Chul who said that Namgung Mei was still weak. Chul said that it would be more logical to send either his brother Y or sister Hei to the academy. She decided to ask him about why he was sent, since she didn't understand the decision of the Namgung clan head. He knows that when she's curious about something, she won't let go. Namgung knew her character trait very well. She told him not to smile, but to answer. She was curious about something else, so let him answer the first question first. Namgung said he didn't know why his father had sent him. He asked her what else she wanted to ask him. The girl said that since she is a member of the Chegao family, she will inherit the counselor's seat in the alliance. She wanted to know the situation of the alliance beforehand, so she enrolled in Beck Military Academy. However, there's something she can't understand. That teacher Kamen, he's fake, right? Chegel said that thanks to her family's information skills, she decided to find out who he was. He is unknown among their generation, but to the adults, he is considered a legend. Everyone knows that the Mirim Union has a military organization called the Red Flower. But in fact, there is also a hidden group called the Black Flower. Everyone in the Black Flower wears masks, so no one knows the true identity of the members of this organization. They say that only one leader of the union knows it. She heard that one of the members of the Black Flower group, Kamen, became a teacher at Beck Academy. But do the guys believe it? They were surprised and could not say anything. Moreover, this man called himself Kameng, but he did not show his strength to them. They only saw the abilities of the small sword ghost, Yan Jun. So far, it's just her guess, said Chegel. But there's a 90% chance that this Kamen is fake. Namgung asked what they would do if Chiol's story was true. She said when they were sure he was just a fake, they should reveal him. That guy came to his pig class. The head of the class, Kumak, said that the guy said he was beaten up by the snake class? The guy said right, what's more, their teacher just watched the whole thing and did nothing. Kumak said, how dare the snake class teacher not even punish his students for such an act? The great swordsman will deal with this. He knew that if the great swordsman Kumak Ho intervened, then that upstart Mon would stop shouting. The guy said that however he is fine, they are all from Jiampa, so he wants the head to turn a blind eye to this case. Kumak said no, the more immoral acts he covers up, the more society rots. He will solve this problem and let Tanwi focus on his recovery. Kumak didn't know who the teacher of the snake class was. When he opened the list, he saw the name Queen Mendok, so he is the teacher of the snake class. Taking his sword, he used an attack and destroyed his room with anger. Kumak said that he doesn't know if the Black Flower Organization commander's reputation is fake, but he will check it out. The next day the guys were practicing on the mountain again, and Jan told them to rest for 10 minutes and continue. Chio gathered the guys again at recess, and said she had a plan. She looked at the girl and asked, isn't her name Unren? She said she knows that Unryong is a healer. Let her give her her needle box. Chio said she could borrow her needles for a while. Unren thought to herself, how did that girl know that she was from a medicine family? Chio opened the jar and said it's a paralyzing drug. It's not deadly to humans, but if it's a real Kamendok, it won't affect him at all. Chegel said that she had prepared it all and on her signal, let the guys act. Namgung picked up a rock and faked dropping it on his foot. While the teachers were distracted by Namgung, Unren fired her needles straight at Kamen, but it was Yang who stood on the defense, and repelled her attack with his sword. Namgung couldn't believe that he was able to repel them all. Ian got angry and said that in his opinion he was saying that you shouldn't disrespect your teacher. But suddenly, Unren fell to the ground, and Yang noticed that she was hit by a needle, which he repelled with his sword. Pulling out the needle, he noticed it was strange, and sniffing the tip he smelled the odor of a paralyzing drug. Unren said her arms were paralyzed. Yang told the teacher that he would take her to the infirmary. Taking her on his back, he carried her, but Chegel came up with another plan and said they only needed a paralyzing agent. Another needle would be a ruse. Since Unren is a healer, she knows how to handle needles. After they throw the needles, she will stick the remaining one in her arm. As a result, Teacher Yang will take her to the infirmary. This man has a strong sense of responsibility. They are going to reveal Kai Mi's true identity. Why would they involve Teacher Yang? Asked Namgung Mei. Chiol told him to think with his head for a moment. If Teacher Yang is around, they can't do anything. After all, he tested it out, right? Namgu remembered how Yang had bullied him in battle. Chiol said that the purpose of their plan is to separate Teacher Yang Jun from fake Kamen. Namgung said it was unbelievable. Everything turned out just like Che Galmi said. Without any accidents, Chai Gal went to Kamin's teacher and said she had something to say. But then the pig class teacher came in. Kumak asked, "Is this the snake class?" The guys were all silent. He asked them, "Is he right? Is this the snake class?" Namgung said it right. Kumak asked if Teacher Kmiming had gone somewhere else, but the guys silently pointed their fingers at the teacher. Chegal realized that he had come to Queen Men to fight, and used this chance to see who was who, and introduced the teacher. Chegal told him that Kumak's teacher came to see him. Why is he just standing there silently? Kumak asked him if he was Queen Mendok. The teacher bowed and said it was him. Chio realized that an unexpected stranger had interfered in their plan, but it was only to their advantage. If he fights the outstanding warrior Kumak, everyone will know the true identity of this fake Kamen. Kameng, the leader of the Black Flower group, always wore a mask so that no one could see his face. But no matter how many times you look at him, he doesn't look like Kameng Dok. Kwok asked him if he's really Ka's teacher. He said yes, and he knows that Kwok is the teacher of the pig class. What was the question he came to him about? Komak saw that he didn't look like a Surim warrior. It was like he couldn't stand. It's like this type just took the name of the real Mirim Union's Kamen Dok and took the teacher's seat at the academy. But he doesn't care if he's a fake or not. If he fights Kumak and Kamen Dok, he'll raise his reputation. But he has to find a reason to fight. Kumak said that he had heard that one of his students had been attacked by members of the snake group, even though the attacker had not received any punishment. When Namgung heard the words attack, he remembered what Teacher Kumak meant. Tang Vai had lied to the teacher. He had to solve the misunderstanding. The guys raised their hands and said it was because of them. But Moon pushed Namgung away and said that the fight was between Tang Vi and him. Kumak said that he sees the snake class has no manners. He hasn't finished speaking yet, and they already dare to interrupt him. Namgung felt he Kumak incredible pressure. Not for nothing is he called one of the warriors of the 100. The 100 Mirim warriors. This is the name of the 100 strongest Mirim warriors. And the great swordsman Kumak is one of the highest ranked among them. The teacher stood up in front of the kids and told Kumak's teacher not to get mad at the kids. How about we talk and the two of us? Kumak said that he understood that Kamen, as a teacher, was protecting his students. Kamen then suggested that he have a cup of tea at the inn and discuss it calmly. Kumak said that he too, being a teacher, can't give offense to the members of his group of pigs. Let's solve everything according to the rules of Mirim. Namgung said that the teacher of the pig class doesn't know the whole truth, so why bring it to this? But then Chaegao ran in and put her hand over his mouth and told him to shut up. They were going to test the fake Mendok's abilities anyway. Teacher told Kumak that he said that knowing that Mendok was standing in front of him. He's never been in a Pima fight. Only in a fight to the death. When we got to the infirmary, the doctor said the needle was in a safe place. But we still have to wait for the paralysis to subside. Yang said he's waiting for an explanation. Why were they going to attack Mendok's teacher? At the Mirim Union headquarters, the head said that the Red Flower group can leave. Let only the recruits stay. In front of them was the leader of the Mirim Union, Kwag Yoon. The new recruit Yang greeted the leader, and said that he had joined the Red Flower squad. Kwag Yoon said that he remembered that Yang is the son of the sword demon Yang Ji, right? The head apologized for mentioning his father's name. The head has decided to end the unpleasant conversations, and is going to entrust Ian with a personal mission. Putting his hand on Yang's shoulder, he told him to protect Mendok. Yang asked why he should protect him. The head said it would be hard for him to explain. But in a nutshell, Jan needs to be around so he can't do anything. Yang left the girl in the infirmary and left. He heard a rumbling sound coming from the direction of the snake class training area. It seemed that something had happened to the teacher. He knew he shouldn't be late. While on the snake class stream, there was a battle going on. Kumak glowed the mountain with his huge sword and hit Teacher Kamen. Kumak asked Teacher Ko where his fighting spirit had gone. What had he just seen? Kamen told Teacher Chu, if he didn't want tea, they could have a shot of alcohol. Kumak didn't talk and attacking said that instead of alcohol, how about we try his punch? But Kameng reacted in time and dodged the blow. Kumak asked him how long he was going to dodge his attacks. Kamen told him that he would dodge until Kumak stopped attacking him and provoke him. Kumak thought it was funny and attacked him with a three-way wave power attack. But Kamen didn't want to fight, so he just dodged his attacks. Kumak wondered why Kameng didn't attack back, but only dodged his punches. That teacher is making fun of him. Chaegao watched the duel and realized that it looked like Teacher Kumak had already shown them everything. Just as she thought, the teacher was a fake. Namyoon saw that it looked comical, but Teacher Kameng was just dodging all the attacks. He decided to take a closer look at it. It looked like Kameng was already exhausted and didn't realize how much longer Kameng was going to run away from him. He could only dodge. His opponent was stronger than him. The true moment came as Kwak attacked him with his sword and he didn't stand a chance. Suddenly Yang came and took over. Yang apologized for being late. Kumak couldn't believe that Yang was able to repel his blow. But Yang only had the head's words in his mind, to protect Kamen at all costs. But suddenly, something started to happen to Namgung again, and his appearance began to change. Because he was one of the sword masters fighting, he was shrinking inside. Kumak said that a guy who doesn't even look like he's 30 can stand up to him. He's got the red flower written all over his face. Kumak said, how does he see it as a fighter from the Red Flower group? The guy said his name is Yang Jun and yes, he is from the Red Flower group. Kumak said that Yang Jun is a newcomer who is called the Small Sword Ghost. Will he go to the side? He and Teacher Kwai are having a Pima fight. Jan said he couldn't, he had another goal in mind. Kumak asked him why he couldn't. Yang said he shouldn't talk about it. Kumak took his word for it. So he really won't back down. Kumak understood that when going up against a sword master who was at the peak of perfection, Yang should realize that he was half as weak as him. If the fight continued like this, then one of these two would not be fine, and if Queen Mak loses to Queen Mendok's subordinate, not to mention Queen Mendok himself, his reputation will be ruined. Seeing Yang's stance, he was surprised. This was the technique of the demon sword Yang, the sword of 10,000 generations. Kumak thought he'd never see that reception again after that incident. Turns out he still has a son. Kumak realized that it wouldn't end so easily. But suddenly they were distracted by Namgung, who was holding his face and bleeding. Teacher Kameng saw this and came running to Namgung and asked if he was all right. Kumak said that today was not the right day. He would come to see Teacher Ka another time. Then let him show him his true power. Kumak was already thinking that he would have to catch Teacher Ka when Yang Jun wasn't around. That night, Kumak began to restore his energy. And thought, what is the face of a true Kameng? He really looks weak. But what was the strangest thing for Kumak was that Kamen fought off all of his attacks. But suddenly someone shouted to him. And he thought he heard it. At that moment, he didn't pay attention to it. But someone attacked him from behind and said, how about giving him the pima he wanted right now? Kumak asked him who he was. He saw Kameng in front of him. But somehow he couldn't feel his presence. Kameng said he asked if they were going to hold the pima. Kameng attacked first, and with his sword attack, he ran into difficulty. Where Kameng, with his finger, broke his sword into pieces. Kumak was very surprised and realized that he was in a bad situation because his sword had been destroyed with just one finger. Kamen didn't want to stop there. And after touching his opponent, Kumak began to bleed out. Taking him by the throat, he began to remember the words that this is not a life or death fight, this is Pima. And he must stop. Kamen asked him if he was still interested in learning his power. Kumak said no and apologized for his tactlessness towards him. Teacher Kameng said that he has not been a teacher for a long time and doesn't know much, so he hopes Kumak will help him. Left alone, Kumak realized that it wasn't a fake reputation. And that guy was really the real Queen Mendok from the Black Flower group. Coming to the forest, Kamen was bleeding and realized that living quietly and calmly was a mission very difficult for him. Mr. Leader. The next morning Namgung woke up, and when he opened his eyes, he realized that he had lost consciousness again. Concentrating the internal energy in his eyes, those powers awakened. But suddenly he heard strange sounds in the room. Namgung asked if there was anyone else in the room besides him. He looked to the side and saw the teacher. Kamen asked him if he had regained consciousness. Namgung was surprised and asked Teacher Kamen, what was he doing here? Or did he hurt himself in yesterday's fight? Kamen said that for the first time in a long time, he overdid it a bit. But more importantly, what did Namgung do with his eyes? Namgung squeezed the bed, said that he watched Teacher Kamen deliberately dodge Teacher Kumak's attacks. The teacher was upset because he thought that the boy had improved his eyesight with these powers. The teacher asked the boy if it seemed to him that if Teacher Kumak hadn't been so lenient, he would have died back then. Even now, he's thinking about that moment. Namgung said he's not imagining it, and knows that his teacher is the real Queen Mendok. Did the teacher tell the guy that he says he saw it with his own eyes? Does Namyeon even realize how dangerous the power he's using is? Namyeon was surprised because the teacher knew his secret. No one knew about it until now. Namgung said that his father had told him not to use his internal energy, because if he used even a little bit, that power would awaken in Tanjong. However, Namgung said that he wants to become stronger. If there is such a way, he asked his teacher to tell him. The teacher said he knows the way. This power is like a curse. If he uses it wrongly, he'll be crippled or lose his life. Teacher asked what was the reason why Namgung wanted to become stronger even though he knew the danger of these powers. Namyeon said he's ready for danger. No one has any expectations of him. The teacher remembered he'd heard it somewhere. And this child will walk down the same road as he did before. But the teacher will have to find out why he was poisoned. And for what purpose a member of the Namgung family. He told the boy that he would share with him the way to become stronger. In the distant past, Kamin was a ruthless man and would kill anyone who got in his way. In one village, where he was at that moment, he left behind many deaths. The defender of the village asked him who he was, but then he was beheaded. The man asked him whose ghost he was, and why he attacked them. Kamin told him, doesn't he know who he is? The man realized that they could not stand against him, and bowing he said that he did not know him, and let him spare them. The man said if the warrior was so kind to them, he'd thank him for the rest of his life. Kamin said he wouldn't do that. The old man didn't recognize him. The man realized who he was and called his name Kamen. But after that, the warrior exterminated them all. The teacher told Namgung that in order to become stronger, he must first understand his body. The concentration center of his power is different from others. Even though it was already known, his father decided to split it. Therefore, the energy circulation is sealed. If it is unblocked, not only the light energy but also the dark energy will be free. Namgung asked if there was a way to use only light energy. The teacher said that it was not necessary to use the power concentration center. Namgung, he forgot which family he belongs to. The strongest family among the 5 Namgung clans. Does the guy know how much energy is in his body? The energy that failed to fill the power concentration center is flowing throughout his body. When Namgung can't control his energy, everything becomes a mess. If he uses the center of power concentration, the dark energy will escape and it will be a vicious circle. Namgung now realized that he had never been able to use it. His teacher said that his father had sealed the power concentration center from the beginning, and until now, he had been using what was left. If his father didn't do that, he wouldn't even be 10 years old. He's from the Namgung family, and his father sealed that power. That's his destiny. Namgung said that according to the teacher, it's a miracle that he's still alive. In one word, he's just useless now. The teacher got angry and said that didn't he say the kid had a destiny? Which means he's going to be his teacher. He must first learn to control his internal energy. Namgung said because his teacher had just told him not to use the energy concentration center. The teacher smiled and said, of course, you can't use the normal method. You have to use the reverse flow method. Namgung said, but if he uses it, won't the defense mechanism kick in? Teacher said he thought the guy was ready for this, but he wasn't. Using this method, the teacher said, the boy is on the verge of life and death. Therefore, it is very dangerous if used inappropriately. And if you compare it with the road to the mountains, the usual method is a quiet road among the trees. In the case of the reverse current, it is a path full of difficulties with many obstacles. It's a difficult and dangerous path, but it's the only one that will allow Namgung to use light energy. Namgung realized that with this method he would be able to use light energy. When he left, the teacher said that this was the minimum he needed to be able to do as his student. If Namgung learns, he will tell him the next level. The same day, Namgung started his lessons, but he found it difficult. In theory, he understood how to do it, but in practice, he couldn't do it. Concentrating, he told himself that he could handle these difficulties. There was no point in giving up. The teacher spent all night in the library reading books and learning new information. Suddenly Jan knocked on the teacher's door. Jan went into the library and started collecting books, saying that he had heard that teacher Gu Mak was injured. The teacher pretended not to know about it. Jan asked him if he was involved in this by any chance. The teacher said, who knows, who knows? Why does Jan have to stick his nose in everything? Just to report to the head. Teacher told Zhang that he can tell him that Gu Mak is not dead. He's only wounded, but he'll recover soon. Yang realized that the teacher already knew that the head had sent him to look after him. The teacher had told him to tell the head that he was going to visit him soon. The next day, the guys all practiced hard in sweat. And no one was lagging behind each other. At this point, they had already switched to sparring. Namgung thought it was incredible how his classmate was fending off all of his attacks. The guy took out a notebook and told Namgung that he didn't know how to reverse energy either, because it was very dangerous. Namgung told him to keep going, but with a kick he hoped he would get him. But the guy managed to knock him to the ground. Namjoon realized that he had lost his balance during the attack. Is this the Shaolin martial art, or what? Shaolin wrote a letter to Namgung again, saying that they usually direct the energy upwards, so maybe they should just change direction to reverse it. Namgung said that he would try, but he needed to go lower. The Shaolin's words were right. When he stood lower, he really started to feel the energy, as if it was concentrated below. He felt as if he had regained his balance. He began to feel that something was about to fly out from below. Chaegao watched the whole thing and said it looked shameful. It seems that next week the real fights will start. Finally this stupid training will be over. Unren said that the real fight, isn't that scary? Chaegao said it's nothing like that, just that all 12 groups will train outside. Unrin asked, "Why is it outside?" Moan came over and said it's all to make them more experienced. Everyone gets used to the quiet life in the clan and forget that somewhere may be waiting for real danger, so such training is necessary for them to test how they will apply their skills in an unfamiliar environment. Moan told Ms. J. Kalmai that he had a question for her. Chegal said it's all nonsense, they're the same age, they can just be Kalmai. Moan asked Kalmai if she wanted to be their captain. Chegal said she wasn't interested in that at all. She was interested in exposing Kamen's fake. She doesn't want to become captain, her skills aren't that good yet. Unrin said she doesn't want to be captain either. In the pig class, that guy was meditating and gathering his energy. When he took off the bandage on his arm, he saw that his wounds looked even better. It was good that he didn't sit idle and practiced. But suddenly, Kumak walked into the room, and the kid greeted the teacher and asked about his health. The boy realized that his teacher had probably been beaten up. Kumak said it's okay, but let the boy take care of his health. The guy asked him how the snake group was doing. Kumak turned around and said in a loud voice that it was no longer the guy's business. The guy wondered why the teacher snapped at him, as if he had done something wrong. The guy said he was just curious. Kumak said it's over. He'll get mad if the guy brings it up again. And trust me, he shouldn't get mad. And that's not advice, that's a warning. The boy was left alone with his thoughts, and was very angry with his teacher, because of his attitude towards him. After completing the basic training, the students moved on to practical training. Their purpose is to escort guests from noble clans, and to gain experience in real battles. This order was sent to all 12 groups. The teacher approached the head and said that he wanted the snake class to be assigned a separate training session. The head asked why he would make such a concession. Kamin said he became a teacher on his orders. However, he has the right to choose his own teaching methods. Or not? The head said yes, but he thought that Kamin would teach them using black-colored methods. The head said he's worried. Kamin said there's no reason to worry, the training will be up to their level. The head realized that Yangju was next to the teacher, so everything would be fine. The head agreed to the teacher's terms. Kamin said that he would tell the head as soon as he was sure. The head sat there thinking, what could this warrior tell him? He should tell Yangju to keep an eye on the teacher. After walking outside the gates of Beck Military Academy, Namgung said that everyone was so excited because it was the first time they had gone outside in a whole month. He wondered when they would escort. Jiol said he didn't know, so they could only wait. But suddenly, out of the crowd, Namgung saw his good friend and said hello to him. Namyeon asked Ji Pen, is she in the academy too? It was the guy's cousin. Ji said yes, even though their family is not the main family. His father still sent him to study here. Ji said he's in the sheep class, but Namgung is in which one, he asked. The guy said he was in the snake class. Ji said that he knows Namgung is not good at martial arts, but he must have memorized the theory well. Namgung was surprised that the Hahoe had never had such a thing, so they started training in the mountains right away. Ji said that he had learned the basics of energy and weapon techniques with great difficulty. Namgung asked him if the 3 techniques of the Mirim clan had been trained. Ji was very surprised to hear that. Namyeon told him about those 3 techniques. But Ji said it was the first time he'd heard of such training. Ji asked if it was true that Namgung's teacher was Kwimendok himself. The guy smiled and said it was true. Ji said his father told him that Kamen is a very scary man. There are rumors about him among the older generation. Namgung said he's not scary at all and is a very good teacher. But his snake classmates denied everything. Namyeon smiled and told the guys that they were all alone. Apparently their client was in no hurry. Chegal said it's no big deal, they can protect him, and he's the head of the clan, so it's unlikely they'll get into trouble. In a way, they're even traveling on the road. Unrin was happy and said that they would eat different foods. I wish they could get the head of the Sakon clan. Namgung said that all this time they had been training under a different system, so was this training too. The teacher walked over and told the guys that they were leaving. The boys asked where the head of the clan was. The teacher said that everything is ready, so let the boys follow him. After a while, they arrived at the place. Namgung said it was the Merchants Guild building. The teacher said it's all right, and they're here so that if he sees something suspicious, he'll be distracted. The man asked the guy how they're going to the capital without an escort. The guy says he's offering them work for a pittance. If the man cares about his life, let him get his hands off. Moan couldn't endure such a humiliation for a man, and with a quick run, he managed to stop this guy's attack. The guy got even more angry and told Moan to let go of his hand. The guy felt Moan's strength and even panicked. The guy's been told this boy's just a kid. Let the guy go easy on him so he doesn't hurt him. But suddenly, the couples all piled on Moan. But he wasn't afraid, and with a swing of his sword, he destroyed their weapons. Everyone seemed to calm down and went into the building, where the teacher said that the situation should be dealt with. Let the guys tell us what happened. The attacker said that from the beginning there were no hired poses here. If they wanted to hire them, they had to give a deposit of 50 mun. They were only offered 15 mun. The guy said he'd pay if they ran an errand. The guy told him he thought they were idiots. The man laughed and asked the guys if they thought he was a crook. Let's stop all this. The boy said that if he was not satisfied with the conditions, then they would leave. But his gaze did not leave Moan, because the boy had incredible strength. The guy asked them to wait and talk it over again. The guys said they'd had enough of this game. Jan told Moan that he was able to control his strength, and he's proud of him for such breakthroughs in his strength. The man remembered and apologized for not introducing himself right away. He is the head of the Sojim Merchants Guild. His name is Wang So Bong. Wang So thanked the guys for their help and bravery. Namgung was surprised that the head was in the trade. Chaigel said he's an idiot. Does this man look like a clan leader? He's a commoner. Let Namgung use his head. The teacher bowed and said they were looking for him. The man asked if it was their merchant guild. The teacher said that they were a group of snakes from Beck Military Academy. Hearing this, the head was very happy. He asked the guys, are they talking about the martial arts academy that was recently founded? The head is very happy to see them in his palace. Teacher said that something seems to have happened to the head. Should he tell us more about what happened? The head said, even though their guild was small, but everything was working well. However, the others became jealous and secretly conspired against them. They began to lure to themselves the people with whom they had previously signed a contract, and they bribed the transportation company of the district. And after that no one else wanted to sign a contract with them. And so said the head, they tried to recruit pshas from other districts, but because of his financial difficulties, what usually happens is what the guys could already see. Chaigel said since they're in this position, they're not good enough at trade relations. Chaigel asked the teacher, how long is he going to continue? They have to accompany the clan head, so why are they wasting time talking? The guild leader told the guys that they don't have such an important guest here. There must be some mistake. Teacher said that the head misunderstood them. They didn't come here to find the head of the clan. They will be the Fessa of the Sukum Merchant Guild. The guys from the Pexes came to report to their chief that 2 men with teenagers had suddenly appeared, and they had no choice but to leave. The head told them, was it so hard to get into Sakjim under the guise of fees? It was the head of the Merchant Guild, Kwok. The guys said they thought it would be suspicious if they accepted his terms right away, so they decided to bargain. But because of these unknowns, it didn't work out. Kwok forgave them and said that even if they failed, there were many other ways. After the trip was over, they would never return to Hanam again. The head of the Merchant Guild, Sakjim, said that as the guys had already heard, their defense corps was having financial difficulties. The teacher told the head not to worry. 15 minutes for each of them. From now until the end of the work, they asked the head to provide them with lodging and food. Judging from their outfits, the guests are from noble houses. However, if something happens after a dangerous trading trip, because they are from Mirim, they can refuse to work anymore. The head decided that first he would agree and get to know the guys better. He said, guys, unpack your luggage and settle in. The teacher decided to make an informative announcement to the boys that up to this point they had been working on basic training aimed at building physical strength. The snake class does not participate in training, which only pretend to be real combat. They will be gaining real combat experience. On the trade route they are bound to encounter forest brigands. The Fessas are trained warriors who are hired for such work. The fight with the bandits will be a real fight for them, in which they will use real weapons. Let the guys show the weapons that they took with them. All the guys brought real weapons and swords with them. Only Namgung showed off his swords made of wood. The teacher asked him if he had taken a wooden sword to practice real combat. Namgung said that he had gotten used to it since he had been using it for a long time. The teacher said it doesn't matter. And all the kids brought good weapons, but he'll confiscate them all. The teacher told the assistant to bring what he had prepared in advance. All the while he was watching the boys and prepared the necessary weapons for them. Moon took the first sword and asked the teacher if they would fight with him. The teacher said that these swords were only for him. Moon said it's not a sword, but a piece of old iron. The teacher said it was a sword, and he shouldn't argue about it. Moon said that he apologized for those words, however that Chonggang's sword is one of the precious blades of the Moon family. It is so sharp that it will cut even stone. That sword is a treasure that can never be lost in a fight. The teacher took his sword in his hands and said that it was a great blade. Moon asked if this sword broke in battle, what would he have to do? The teacher said he would take another sword from the ones next to him. Moon asked, what if they break too? The teacher showed him that he had 10 swords, so what's he worried about? Maybe Moon is just too weak without his precious blade. Can he fight with it, and nothing else? Looking at Chegel, he said that red sword, even though it was beautiful, it was completely ordinary. The teacher gave her her weapon called a chukshok, a bamboo stick. The teacher asked her if she didn't know how to use the egin. Chegel said that of course not. In these 2 days, she will show the teacher her abilities. Now it's Namgung's time. He said he needs to catch up with the other guys in terms of ability first, right? And he can do it. Namgung said no, he doesn't know the way yet. Teacher said he's sure the guy can do it. In order to concentrate the internal energy in the eyes, you need to be able to control the smallest amount of energy. It's not easy. However, Namgung can do it. Namyun remembered his past attempts to fulfill it. The teacher told him that internal energy is the energy of nature, which is stored in the human body. Each energy tends to resemble nature. And the martial arts of each clan is the same. And the foundation for the emergence of martial arts is Tanjong. In Namgung Tanjong, the energy of nature is not divided. Such cases are extremely rare. The energy of the sun means the sky, the energy of sound means the earth. But he is upside down. Then what should be done? The teacher asked. Namgung thought about it, and said that he should switch heaven and earth, and then everything will work out for him. At this time, in the forest sat grandfather, and said that no one sees him off. Somehow he gets sad. Maybe people avoided him because he was a Kaban elder, Grandpa thought. But from the look of him, he looked like a martial artist. The teacher said that from now on, the boys would begin training in real combat. Their mission from Hanam to Habuk is to defend the Urban Defense Corps and help successfully complete the transport trip. Anything can happen on the road, so be always ready. And last but not least, the guys should beware of forest robbers. Under any circumstances, they must protect the head of the Defense Corps and the goods themselves. And after completing their training, they will be selected as class captain. So the boys set off, late at night. While the teacher slept in the wagon, the boys had to protect them. After a long way, the guys decided to take a break and rest for a while. But Jan did not want to rest and was always on the lookout, and our hero Namgung stepped aside and began to train. After all, he will need it in the future. But suddenly, standing on his hands, he began to feel the energy, and in a moment he caught the thread. But however, all this is dangerous. If he applies internal energy in the opposite direction, then at the slightest deviation from the meridian point, the body receives a kickback. But he thought that maybe he lacked confidence. Did he have the resolve to risk his own life? The teacher saw Namgung practicing hard and came over to tell him that this was not the time to do it. Namgung said he had something to ask his teacher. Kamin told him he had to stand night watch, so he should go. The teacher stood alone in the middle of the forest, and said loudly that the enemies intended to kill the child. How disgusting they are! Let them come out, he is ready to fight them. The teacher noticed them and said that if they thought they could not be seen with their heads down, they were mistaken. Strangely enough, these guys were all wearing green suits. One of the guys said that they didn't know how the teacher noticed them, but don't let him get cocky. The teacher did nothing as one of the guys started to get scared and looked into the teacher's eyes and said he understood. The guy said he wondered where that skinny guy got the confidence to provoke them. Turns out he just helped earn that kid time to get away. But don't try so hard, said the guy. Because no matter what, it's not just the little guy who dies, it's all the members of the transportation trip. The teacher, pulling out a mask from his pocket, said that everyone has their plausible plots. Until the enemy is beaten. The guy said he thought the teacher was going to get a gun, but it was a mask. He was going to play an opera with it. But the joke's over. He ordered his boys to attack the skinny teacher. Kamen put on a mask and through the wind, felled all the enemies. The teacher told the guy that in their eyes it looks like he's joking. Seeing his eyes, the guy realized that his business is bad, and all his partners are on the ground. In a moment, the guy's vision was deceived as he suddenly saw that the teacher had disappeared. But he managed to attack them from behind and knocked out one of the enemies. The teacher asked them what joke to show them next. The guy understood if this teacher was a ghost of darkness, but they were finished. The guy told his fighters to be careful. That guy is Kwimendok. And to get ready to use the Token. Teacher said that the guys say he should beware of the Token. Since he's Kwimendok, the guys use poison? And those who don't know him well have a lot of misconceptions about him. The teacher said that it's not poison in his nickname, but loner. The guy asked him, what does that have to do with anything now? The teacher didn't want to hear their meaningless conversations, and attacked and knocked one of them out. With all his strength in his hands he said, I can't talkin' now. And with the power of his thoughts he dragged the enemy to his arms. The teacher asked him what their future plans were. While Yam was observing the order on the pass, he heard the teacher's voice calling out to him. Jan asked the teacher if something happened. The teacher said it did, but it's over now. Yang pulled himself together and went straight to the teacher. When he got there, he saw a group of people lying on the ground, and the teacher standing on a rock. Teacher told Yang Jun's assistant that he was late. Yang said he couldn't believe that teacher had killed them all. The teacher said that if it wasn't for this messiah, he wouldn't have committed murder. He just broke their joints all over their bodies, and destroyed their tanjan. Yang was surprised to hear that the teacher had destroyed everyone's tanjan. He asked the teacher, who are these people? The teacher told him, can he see? They're assassins for hire. And they seem to be well trained. Ian said, if they are not forest brigands but assassins, then who sent them here? The teacher said that it seems that the enemy who is trying to get rid of Sukham's defensive corps is putting much more effort into it than he thought. Perhaps the attacks on Sukhum will continue. Yang thought that the trained assassins would attack the children, and they would be in danger. They should immediately interrupt their training. Teacher said no, they won't interrupt anything. The assassins will be dealt with by Jan himself, and the teacher also trusts him, the snake class. Let him make sure the kids only fight forest robbers. Jan asked, what do you mean he trusted him with the class? The teacher said he had some business to attend to, so he had to leave for a while. Placing his hand on Yan's shoulder, he said that he was now in charge of the snake class. The abilities of a small sword master are enough to deal with assassins. Jen asked him where he was going to go in such a tense situation. The teacher said he was going to visit the house. Namgung went to bed and met the teacher's aide and asked, where is Teacher Kamen? Jen asked him why he was asking. Namyoon said that the teacher had seen him and told him to go back to the others. He thought the teacher would be back soon, but he was still gone. Yang tried to explain to the boy, but in the end he said that the teacher had an urgent matter, so he left for a while. Their trade trip continues. So let Namgung concentrate on training. Namyoon didn't know where his teacher had gone, but he was beginning to understand how to make the internal energy flow in the opposite direction, so he wanted to ask his teacher so many things. The guy asked Mr. Yang if he sleeps. He said that when he has the chance, he closes his eyes a little. This guy was a junior master of the Sukhum City Defense Corps, and his name was Wanik Hyun. Wang said that he was relieved that they were being guarded by the ghost of the small sword. Yang said that he shouldn't be, because the children were trying harder than him. Wang looked at the boys and said that they were still children, so the road must have been hard on them. Tomorrow, we should let them sleep well. Jen said that he thought that at their speed they would not be able to cross the mountain by tomorrow. Is Win sure it's possible? Vin said they come across a peasant village along the way. They stop by there every time they go on a transportation trip. They buy crops from them, exchange goods and just maintain good relations. Vin asked where the sick man that was with them had gone to. Would he join them a little later? So they set off the next morning. But suddenly they heard sounds in the bushes and stopped to take defense. A little boy poked his head out of the bushes and shouted to his uncle. Win recognized this boy and called him Jin Hai, then said that this child is from the peasant village he told about yesterday. He followed his grandfather and started to collect medicinal herbs. I asked the boy if he had found a lot of herbs. The boy showed the sack and said that this was all he had managed to collect from dawn until now. Vin was surprised and said that this time he would appreciate these herbs generously. The boy thanked his uncle, then told the boy to stop calling him uncle. It's better if he just calls him hen. Then asked him where Grandpa was and why he was alone. The boy said that Grandpa had a bad lower back, so he was picking herbs without him today. The boy asked Vin if they were going to the village. Let's go together. He said yes to the boy, and decided to sit down tonight, not outside in the dark woods. The boy asked Namgung, are they Fessa? Namgung said that we can say that they are temporary Fessa guarding the transportation wagon. The boy was surprised and said that if they are Fessa, they are incredibly strong and have excellent martial arts skills. Looking at the boy and his hand placement, he remembered Moon Bo. His power and inner energy allows him to be considered as a young promising fighter. On top of that, he has the sword art, a form of destruction, which encapsulates the speed and tenacity of the Moon family. His fighting skills remind him of Hen Nim Namgung Il, only in his childlike form. Chegalmi uses various metamorphoses and illusions, which are the basis of the Chegal family's art, to play with the opponent. Also, thanks to her resourcefulness, she thinks of ways to fight in advance. She combines intelligence and strength. It's hard to find any flaws in her. Although one flaw is her character. One fee as a martial artist called Northern Shaolin influence. It seems that he has already learned a lot of techniques. Even though he is told not to speak, words are not necessary to show his abilities. Umryong is a shy person, but she is very good at acupuncture and is able to identify acupuncture points with precision. She also has a good sense of energy, so she can easily sense danger. That's it, everyone but him is strong. The boy asked him if he was strong too. Namgung said he's still weak. The boy asked, what do the Nunez and the other young say? There's confidence in Namgung, but he still looks restless. Namgung asked the boy, his name is Jin Hai, right? Does he have any interest in martial arts? Jin said that he would also begin to learn martial arts and become a martial artist, so he would be able to protect his grandfather and younger brother. Namgung looked at him and remembered himself as a child, saying that he would become stronger and protect other people. Namgung said that Jin is still a kid, but it's commendable that he has such goals. Jin kicked him in the leg and said that Namgung was just a kid himself, then saw the houses and said they had arrived. It was a peasant village, but they stopped, and Vin was surprised, because the village had been destroyed and there were many deaths. Jin saw his village and ran, but he didn't know what had happened there. And with tears in his eyes he started screaming to his grandfather. When Namgung saw the pile of corpses in front of him, he was frightened and thought who could have done this. The boy ran to his house and opened the door. He saw his grandfather lying on the floor, and asked him to wake up. The grandfather was perplexed, and shouted to let him go. When he came to his senses, the guys healed him and let him rest, then asked what the situation was in the village. The guy said there were survivors, but most of them were badly wounded. Suddenly, the boy's grandfather started making life sounds. Jin said he seemed to be coming to his senses. Grandpa opened his eyes and jumped out, but he knew he couldn't move. He said that the forest robbers had kidnapped his grandson. Let the guys help him. Grandfather said that they took not only his granddaughter, but all the women in the village. Namgung understood that they were now the protectors of the people of the City Defense Corps. However, Teacher Kameng had also once said that Kyanpa was different from Magi and that the former used their power to protect others. Namgung told Assistant Yang that they should immediately rescue the kidnapped people, no matter what it takes. Yang said that he wanted to do the same, but their duty now is to serve as the defenders of the City Defense Corps. Besides, there's a chance of getting trapped, so they can't abandon the Corps members. Namyun said he agreed, but they couldn't just ignore what had happened. They were taught at Beck Academy that they should follow the right path and help others. Moan told the teacher's aide that he agreed with Namgung Mei's words without thinking for a long time. Chegel said that they would already have to face the forest robbers, so dealing with them now wouldn't be so bad. Judging by what those forest robbers have done, even if they pay them, they won't let them go. Vin went up to the guys and asked them to help, and not to worry about their core. He thought that since the bandits had wreaked such havoc here and left, the village would be safe now. Yan looked at the guys and saw that they were becoming more and more like Champa warriors. Yang said that from now on, the snake class would go to rescue the kidnapped people. They would split into 2 groups, rescue and defense. Namgung was happy to hear such instructions, for they must help at all costs. Yang said that the rescue team will include Mon Bo, 1P, Che Galmi and him. And the defense team will include Namgung and Unrin. The 2 of them will stay here and be guarded by the men of the City Defense Corps. Namgung was disappointed because he wanted to go with them too. I gave him 1 item. But Namgung didn't know what it was. Yang said that this is the signal fire used by the Red Flower Squad. If anything happens, have him launch it into the sky. They will come to them at once. Namgung told Jan that he wanted to go with them too. Chegal stopped him and said no. He won't bring any help anyway. Namgung realized that although it sounded offensive, she was right. He could cause trouble since he couldn't use his internal energy properly. Namgung told them to rescue the kidnapped people. So they went to the forest to get the kidnapped people, but suddenly, Mon noticed someone in the bushes, and managed to react to his attack. Mon realized that the bandits were waiting for them. Ian noticed that these people are skilled in martial arts, but since they are forest brigands, we should leave it to the children. The bandit laughed, and said that those kids were chasing them. Mon drew his sword and said that he would destroy them all. The bandits were surprised that a child could control energy at such an early age. So Mon decided to attack them and end it all. But suddenly his sword collided with the axe and broke in his hands. The bandit was surprised and said that he was only a little hurt, and decided to strike back, but Mon dodged it. Mon realized that the blade couldn't withstand his inner strength, and fell apart. The bandit came to his senses after Mon's attack and said that he was scared of a brat like him for nothing. Mon took out another weapon from his basket, and thought about how he should fight with these swords. The bandits decided to attack Chagall, but she managed to take her Pied Piper and began to sing, from which they could not approach her. The bandits said the girl's Yumgong was weak. Chegal said she was just holding back her strength. Next time, she'll attack at full strength. Chegal realized that it was impossible for her to master the Yumgong technique in 2 days. The most she could do was to push them away. Now it's time for Shaolin. He tried to fight a huge bandit, and managed to repel his blow. Seeing that his stick could not withstand the attack, he pulled out another weapon and attacked the brigand. Shaolin told the guys that because they were not fighting with their bare hands, the power flows were interrupted and they felt tightness in their chests. In the village, Vin told the helpers to unpack their luggage and prepare everything so that the rescue team could have a good rest when they returned. Namgung had been sitting on the stump all this time, thinking that even if he wasn't taken into the rescue team, the original duty of their class was to protect the defense corps. The chances of the mountain bandits coming back here are slim, but you still need to be on the lookout. Namgung spotted the boy outside his house and went over to him. The moment Un came out of the room and said that Grandpa had fallen asleep again, Unren said that she thought he would get better. The boy bowed to her and thanked her. Namgung calmed down when he heard that the boy's grandfather would recover and said that he would go and look around the perimeter of the village and come back. The boy said he would escort Namgung. Namgung asked him if forest robbers often attack their village. The boy said no. Even their closest hiding place is far away from them. Since this place is not bandit territory, they are based here. Namgung told the boy that he understood. But he thought, then why did they suddenly attack? He thinks there's something wrong here. He remembered that Sukum's defense corps had made a transportation trip for the first time in 3 months, and the enemy knew that Sukum would definitely stop by this village on the way. Namgung told the boy to go home. The boy asked him why he should go home. Namgung said he had a bad feeling about it. The boy asked Hyung why he was so scared all of a sudden. Namgung said it's not a joke, so let him go home quickly. But suddenly the tree bandit said loudly that he was here. Standing against each other, Namgung was very surprised. Namgung noticed that the mask covering his face, he is not a forest robber. Namgung told the boy to run away and warn everyone. Namgung saw that they were doing badly, for the boy was frozen in one place because of the mercenary's Salda. Namgung took his hands and they started running. The mercenary asked them where they were going and jumped on them. Namgung realized that he needed to buy time for Jing Hai to escape. So he drew his sword and attacked the mercenary. Namyun saw that the boy had run away and suddenly took the blow with his foot. But he did not think of giving up, and got back on his feet. Mercenary asked, "Who else is going to fight here?" And he doesn't believe that the first unit was destroyed by such lowly Fessa. Perhaps even the forest brigands weren't necessary. Namgung realized that he was right and it was just a diversion. He thought about what to do next. The mercenaries said he would kill him first, then deal with the rest of the villagers and sock him. Namgung took out a piper from his pocket and decided that he needed to call the assistant teacher as soon as possible. The mercenary came up and grabbed Namgung's arm with his hook. The mercenaries completely immobilized Namgung, stretching his arms to both sides. The signal fire rolled to the mercenary's feet before being crushed. The mercenary told Namyeon that he was hoping to use this thing. But suddenly Namyeon heard a familiar boy's voice and turned around to see Jin Hai. Namgung told the mercenaries to let the kid go. The mercenary said it looks like the kid still doesn't know his place. The mercenary threw a rope on him and lifted him with his feet up against a tree, and said that he had absolutely no warrior spirit in him. Pointing his fingers at Namgung's head, he said that being suspended here let him get a good feel for how weak he is. The mercenary told his men to kill the child. The boy begged them not to. The mercenary started laughing at Namgung and said that he still had morale. He should be thankful that it wasn't his turn to die yet. Or is the boy desperate? Does he feel angry? But whatever it is, it's useless. Namgung said that the weak are destined to be crushed by the strong. If only he had the strength. Suddenly everything began to glow, and Namgung used his strength to rip the ropes off. Namgung turned off and started thinking. He asked his inner self for strength. People demanded that he be strong. The elders told him that since he was the heir of the Namgung family, he should be able to do this. He was told to follow the example of Chief Namgung and protect the family's honor. Because he had the surname Namgung, the people of the family looked up to him with high esteem. He too at some point began to take it all naturally. However, he later lost the use of his inner energy. His father had told him that he could not become a warrior. The more he trained his internal energy, the more the infected energy in his body grew. Therefore, he must not waste energy. People said that they couldn't believe that as a descendant of Namgung, he was now unable to use internal energy. But the rest of his siblings are talented from birth. What a shame for the Namgung family. Such a bad son from such a good father. The men said that even if you don't compare, you can see such a strong difference between the Namgung children. Even though he knew he couldn't do it, he tried to keep up with his brothers and sisters in terms of strength. He had already forgotten the reason why he had to become stronger. He was swinging his sword relentlessly. He thought, why did he want to become stronger? Father asked Mei if he was interested in studying Choschik. Namgung said yes, and dreamed of becoming stronger and protecting people. The head asked him what kind of people. Little Mei said those who were in difficulty. His father asked him what he thought strength was. The boy said his father. If he became like him, he would be strong. The father laughed and said that the boy said he was a weak man. Mei told him he didn't know what he was talking about. He's strong, father. His father told Mei that he is right. However, calling someone a strong person doesn't mean they can protect other people. His father has a hard time protecting even his own people. Let Mei help those who are in trouble. He would love for him to build up his strength and become that kind of person. He could not understand his father's words or facial expressions at the time, but he thinks that now he can understand a little of what it all meant, how hard it is to protect other people. But even so, he still wants to protect them. That's the reason why he wants to become stronger. But suddenly he dreamed of a teacher who told him he would tell him how to become stronger. For starters, Igunin. But in that moment, Namyeon took it to the next level and freed himself, by force. The mercenary was surprised that he had freed himself from his iron whip. Namgung had one thing in mind, and that was to save the boy from the hands of strangers. So he jumped in to save him. When he looked at the boy, he realized that he had succeeded. The mercenary said that just a short while ago, Namgung's internal energy was so worthless. But now he was already using it properly. He had become stronger over time. Namyeon said that he who has strength should not trample on the weak, but protect them. This is the true way of the strong. The mercenary said that Namgung is young, so he doesn't understand very well yet. Since he's just starting out in the Murama, the mercenary will tell him. The mercenary said that the law of the jungle works in Murima, and attacked him, shouting that the insolent sucker should be torn to pieces. Namgung was not afraid and took the attack. He was surprised that this power was his true inner energy, but he couldn't use it properly. He had just learned it. He needs to apply the chashchik and maximize his power. With his help, which he knows is the attack game of the two-headed dragon. The other mercenaries were surprised that a first-rate warrior was inferior to a child. Namgung was happy that he had succeeded. He used his internal energy and applied it. But suddenly he started to feel wobbly and landed on his knee. Head started spinning. He had too much internal energy. He was telling him to come to his senses. He still had 3 opponents left. With the distraction of the forest brigands, they were going to divide the forces and destroy the defensive core. However, there was a change in their plans. He thought they left a child with outstanding medical skills with the weakest baby and went to rescue the hostages. The mercenary said that with just one blow, Namgung's strength was exhausted. So they can handle him. He told number 2, number 3 to attack with a united strike formation. Namgung immediately saw that the mercenaries had decided to attack in a united strike formation. Namgung decided to dodge, but he couldn't. He was hit. After taking the blow on his sword, Namgung realized that hired blades had internal power. In any attack, his wooden sword would simply break. First he needs to increase the distance. But suddenly he saw a shadow in front of him, and realized that he was being attacked from above. But it was too late. He realized that with 3 people attacking him from different directions, he has no way to counterattack. And it's hard for him to dodge too. The mercenary asked him, "What's wrong with him? Why doesn't he have any reaction? Why isn't he using that cool sword technique anymore?" Namgung said that he needed a chashchik that would help him destroy the balance between them. However, he was unable to properly learn the blue sky sword technique. After he was poisoned by an unknown poison, his father not only forbade him from building up his internal energy, but also stopped teaching him chongshik. He could only show the mercenary one thing. The mercenary told him he was just dodging punches. Namgung realized that one chushik that he had repeated hundreds of times, the first movement of the blue sky sword technique. Namgung lit up with a large flame of fire, and used the attack of the two-headed dragon game, warp. Namgung managed to kill the mercenary with his attack, but after finishing it, he also fell down and didn't move. The mercenary saw Namgung and said that he had modified chashchik, a kid who has no experience in real combat. How did he manage to put the warp into practice in such a short moment? A sword technique is a number of sword techniques that are designed to fit into a single principle. Then if you understand the true nature of one chongshik, and learn to modify it into other chongshiks, what will happen? It's no longer a chongshik, but a sword technique. If you leave the child like this, he'll be trouble in the future. That's why you have to kill him now. Because of the great wind, dust gathered and an old man came out of it, and told the mercenary that it was difficult for him to kill the child. The mercenary looked at him and thought that the Fessa couldn't have come back already. He asked the old man who he was. Strike said it's a little hard for him not to know all the circumstances. But he thinks he does know one thing: the ones who hide their faces under masks have their heads up their asses. Do they wear them when the 3 of them are torturing children? The mercenary told number 2 to deal with the old man. The mercenary attacked him with a knife, but the old man stuck his stick on him. The old man said that what's more, they disregard human lives and kill people so that they shut their mouths forever, without any hesitation. The old man said he should give them a good beating. It was Elder Kaben Hong Sojioel. The battle with the forest brigands was still going on. Moan said that these people would use any means and methods in battle. If only he had a proper weapon. The bandit asked the girl how long she was going to run. Chaigel said that since she had not yet perfected the use of Yumgong, she needed a decisive moment to attack. Ian saw that in terms of skills, the snake class was definitely the best. But what kind of a messy fight? They can't use their weapons properly at all. Yang grabbed one of the robbers and asked him where the kidnapped women and children were. He was frightened and launched an attack, which Yang defended himself against. Jan asked him again, "Where are the people?" The bandit smiled and said that the Lion of Justice had appeared, and he would tell where they were. The bandit said they scattered them all and sold them to slave traders. Jan told them that was a lie and they wouldn't have time to do that. He was going to trust the children, but if they continue to stall, the hostages may be in more danger. There is no other choice but to help them. Yang killed one of the bandits and didn't even move. He told the snake class to rest. After all, from now on, he's going into battle. Yang told them, listen to him carefully. If they, first-class fighters, continued to fight, they would probably win. The forest brigands were only second-rate warriors. However, they were able to make good use of the weapons given to them. The guys showed confusion about the tactics of real combat. Forest brigands. This is the reason why they need experience in real combat. And let the guys do not lose heart, training in real combat is important. But the rescue of kidnapped people in their first place. So they will still have a chance. Ian told the bandit to show him the way to their base. And gave them men for good. Things can get worse in a moment. The old man used his powers to ask, who should he defeat first? Let them attack him as they wish. The mercenary remembered that he was an outstanding Keben fighter. If he still has 7 nodes, he's an elder. At the very least, his strength is at the level of Chulchan. Although not said mercenary, there's a possibility that he might even be a Keel Kulkan warrior. We need to get away from him first. The mercenary took a toy to help. The old man saw it, and said it was a smoke shell. But he was too late, and the mercenaries escaped. The old man looked at Namgung, and took away such a powerful spirit force. Even though he had reached his limit, he still didn't give up. He also has good judgment. In the most difficult situation he makes the best choice. This is commendable. The old man thought that if Namgung used the blue sky sword technique, then he must be a child of the Namgung family. His name must be Namgung Y. The people in the village were working late at night, and preparing a night's lodging for the fighters. Suddenly, kidnapped men entered the gates of the village. Seeing their sons and daughters, the women of the family were very happy and ran to hug each other. Suddenly, Chai Gal noticed that Namgung was lying in the room, and Unren was treating him. Yang thought, why is he hurt? The old man came to them and said that the boy needs peace now. Can Jan talk to him about it? Yang told Elder Hong Seol, nicknamed the Drunkard. Strike said he hated hearing that nickname every time. Yang asked the elder what he was doing here. The old man said he needed a reason. I was just on my way home and happened to stop by here. Besides, they're not in Kaban now. So Yang can call him Sunbei instead of elder. Yang asked Sunbei if he did that to that child. Sunbei said that even if he got drunk, he wouldn't lay a finger on the child. Yang apologized and then asked what had happened. Sunbei told Yang to serve him a drink first. The old man drank and ate, and told him everything in detail. Yang asked him if what he just said was true. The old man said that despite the numerical advantage, that boy from the Namgung family fought to the very end. Yen thought that Namgung couldn't use his internal energy properly, so he was fighting as a demonic soul. Yang asked the old man, wasn't the boy's condition strange? It was as if he was fighting unconsciously and instinctively. The old man asked him if he meant the demonic soul. Jan said yes, that's right. The old man said absolutely not, there wasn't even a hint of that. On the contrary, that child is very talented for such a young age. He took out 2 of the 4 assassins. Ian asked him, is he saying that the boy fought against the assassins? The old man said yes, moreover, they were first-class fighters. If one were to divide the levels of swordsmanship, those who have literally just picked up a blade are of the 3rd class. The 2nd class are warriors who have begun to learn Chongshik, various martial techniques and battles, and first-class fighters who can release their inner energy through their bodies or weapons. Then there are the Kulchan warriors. By shaping their internal energy and giving it to their weapons, they can cut through rocks. Then, when a Chilzhong warrior has been building up the energy inside Tanzhong for 60 years, and can even win a battle against 10 men, he is known as an outstanding Chilzhong fighter. And then there are the Huajian and Henjin levels. What did she know that Namgung wasn't capable of such a thing? She asked the old man if he had seen it with his own eyes. The old man said that of course he saw. By the way, the guy's reaction is strange. They should praise the kid. And why are they questioning him with such distrust? Ian said the thing is, that kid's abilities wouldn't have allowed him to do that. Yang asked him if he had gotten anything wrong. The old man said that Yang wanted to say that he was bullshitting. The old man said that he was an elder of the Cakeban clan, who are called the informants of Jiampa. If he lied at every turn, who would trust the clan's information? The old man said that he saw that kid using the blue sky technique against the mercenaries with his own 2 men. All that said, he's a descendant of Namgung, and if you exclude girls from the 5 children, This guy doesn't look like the first heir who's in his 20s. The old man said that there is only one candidate left. His physique is perfect for learning martial arts, but because he's lazy, he doesn't have a good reputation. However, despite this, he showed himself as a brave fighter, ready to sacrifice himself for the weak. In other words, only the third heir of Namgung fits the criteria. Chigal said that's why they thought the old man was wrong. The old man asked her what she was talking about. Chigal said that this guy is not Namgung, but the fifth heir of Namgung. The old man was surprised and upset when he heard his name. He was wrong to talk about Kaban's informants. It could ruin the clan's reputation. In such a situation, it's necessary to smoothly change the subject. The old man asked why the killers attacked the peasant village. What do the guys think about it? Then said he had a suggestion as to why the assassins attacked the village. Teacher went to Anhui province. When he saw the Namgung family's sign, he realized that he had arrived at the place. The teacher knocked on the door like a decent person. A man opened the door and asked who came so late. Kamen said he's a teacher at Beck Martial Arts Academy in the Mirim Union. The man was surprised when he heard that. The teacher had such a pale skin and skinny body. With the bags under his eyes, he looks like a panda. This man looks more like a sick person who came to borrow money for medicine. Why is he lying? The man decided that first he would try to send him away nicely. The man explained to the teacher that it was too late, let him come back tomorrow. The teacher said that he understood the man and he would come tomorrow. But before he could finish his sentence, the man slammed the door. The teacher went up to the gate and said it's a family visit. He thinks there's no need to make a fuss, right? Suddenly, he was fixated on one place and said that he began to feel a powerful energy from that place, which only the head of the Namgung family possesses. Then told the guys he had a proposition to make. Ian asked him what it was, then didn't say anything and took a box out of his pocket and put it on the table. When Jan saw it, he was surprised and said that it was wooden. Siegel said the box was empty. Then said right, that's why he said it was just his guess. Anyway, it all started when their urban defense corps Sakkim started getting popular. It was the head of the Jianshan City Defense Corps, and his name was Kwok Jong. They said that they do not want to conflict with other corps, but rather to maintain friendly relations. And when the atmosphere became a little more favorable, they asked if we wanted to distribute one product. There was no way to know what the item in question was. Even if he wanted to know, inside was an item that should only be sold to those who knew the secret code. My father, being a merchant, said he couldn't sell to other people what he didn't know anything about, so he refused. After that, these people began to bargain and infringe on the Sakkim Corps in every way possible. Their power was weakened, and they came to the position they are in now. When they opened the wooden box they had left before they left, they found it empty. They had probably considered the possibility of rejection. Chegal said that the assassins that Namgung fought with must have been expelled from the Corps Union as well. Then said yes, they have the same assumption, but nothing's been confirmed yet. Chegal asked what was in the box. Then smiled and said they'd like to know too. The old man showed the box and asked, "Is this the joke they're talking about?" Everyone was surprised and asked him where he got it from. The old man said that they were also studying it in Kebun. When they opened it, they were surprised. The Shaolin wrote on the notebook and asked, "Is this a pill?" The old man said he thinks it's an unusual miracle cure. While the Sahas were fighting, he stole it. Chegal said it smells suspicious. The old man said that's right, there's something fishy going on. It's like a guy who hasn't bathed in 5 years has bathed in a bucket of shit. Moreover, it seems that the pill has already spread throughout Zhongyuan. They have entrusted the Yak clan and the Sa Chion family to analyze the Tangwan. Chegal is sure they'll be able to figure out the effects of this pill. Who's distributing Tangwan then? The old man thought and suggested that there might soon be unrest in the peaceful Mirim. The old man looked at Namyeon Mei and said that compared to what they say about him, he's a pretty interesting shot. Head Namgung was in his room when he suddenly felt something and moved to the roof where his teacher was waiting. Namgung asked him who he was that he had entered the Namgung family home so late at night. Teacher said he even wore a mask on purpose, so he wouldn't recognize it. Namgung said it could be anyone under the mask. Is he saying he's Kwimyeong-dok? Teacher asked if there was a way to prove that he was really him. Namgung used force and said he would check it out for himself. Namgung grabbed him with his attack and threw him into the rock. The teacher said he had powerful and fast punches. Namgung said that he thought the teacher could easily withstand his attacks since he was pretending to be the real Kameng-dok. Kameng became and said that the head of Namgung is a mistrustful person. The head said, "Isn't their world dominated by lies? Here he can show his strength in peace." The teacher realized that the head is testing him. "We'll have to play along." The head showed his strength and told the teacher to prove it to him. Using such a strong attack, the teacher was able to dodge, which surprised the head. As he watched the sword energy of the head of the Namgung family, he was surprised to see that the sword energy of the head of the Namgung family was ferocious. Facing each other, the head said that only with such strength would he dare to introduce himself as Kameng-dok. Teacher asked, "He still wasn't enough?" Namgung said that he recognizes that a martial arts teacher's level is at least Wajen. But comprehending Wajen doesn't prove that he's a real Kameng-dok. Although outstanding Wajen fighters are rare, there are many Wajen masters among every clan. The teacher said that there is a difference in knowledge, but he agrees with the head. He said that even within the same level of Wajen, there are many obstacles. That is why he has doubts. Namgung attacked the teacher and said that he had met Kameng-dok in person, but he couldn't recognize him this time. He fought him to the death. A flurry of attacks were launched by the Namgung head, but Kameng simply dodged them without any difficulty. A man from the Namgung clan was sweeping his yard. Suddenly he looked up to the sky and thought. A man from the Namgung clan was sweeping his yard. Suddenly he looked up to the sky and thought, "It's gonna rain." Namgung said that in the Mirim Union, there are people called the Heavenly Trinity. The leader of the Mirim Union, Kuan Yun, nicknamed the Boundless Sword, the recluse Sa So Ma, nicknamed Red Lightning Spear. He used to be known as Sa Pei Chion, and the brave wanderer who follows the wind and clouds, Chu Dok Wa, nicknamed the Blade of Wind and Clouds. They're all idiots living in their own way. Because they're so weird, they managed to get past the Wajen level and into the Henjin level. The teacher realized that this was not the end. Namgung said that, however, someone who could surpass the Heavenly Trinity was born in Mage. If the power of the Trinity was close to Henjin, then the leader of Mage was the possessor of Henjin. The long war for greatness had begun, and the ones who contributed the most to its end were the Black Flower Squad and Kameng-dok. Without him, the battle could have continued until now. The teacher asked him why he was suddenly talking about it. He remembered his words in the past, how he said it was the end. He would die at the hands of some guard. When he opened his eyes, he saw Kameng-dok chopping off the guard's head and saving Chief Namgung from death. Namgung asked him if he knew who had fought in the war with him, the ghostly mask of a loner. Namgung asked him if he knew how hard it was to impersonate someone like Kameng-dok. Namgung attacked him, but the teacher used the Palm of Heaven and Sun attack. The head was surprised at how he easily repelled his attack. He is superior to him in level. Teacher said that he didn't come here as Kameng-dok, but as a teacher from Beck Academy for a family visit. The head asked him if he wasn't the real Kameng-dok. When he got to the house, he said he was embarrassed that he had to treat the guest to just this. Teacher said it was what he wanted, so it's okay. Namgung asked, "Is he really the Kameng he remembers? He used to be so handsome and muscular." The teacher asked him if he still doesn't believe it. "Then shall we continue the test?" The head said it's not worth it, he's already seen his skill. Or maybe his memory has deteriorated due to old age. The teacher said it hasn't been that long. Namgung asked him if he had come here for his youngest son, right? The teacher said yes. Namgung drank and said okay. What does the teacher want to know? Teacher said he could see that Namgung had worked on Namgung Mei's Tanjong. He said that he gave Mei a third of his inner energy, and split his Tanjong in two. In order to study the poison, he gathered all the strength and information his family had, but he was unable to find out the true nature of the poison or the method of neutralizing it. So he put his hopes in the Mirim alliance. The teacher said he had thought about it. Let the head tell him everything from beginning to end. Drinking through the agony, the head did tell him. Teacher said that there was a way to defeat the energy in Namgung Mei's body. The head asked him what that way was. Let him use it on Mei. The teacher said that the technique is called returning to the original order. The head said that this is the first time he's heard of it. Does the teacher use it himself? The head asked. Teacher said that it was a martial arts technique of the Dok clan that he had created. However, He wasn't sure if Namgung Mei was capable of mastering it. He originally had no intention of passing on his techniques to the next generation. Moreover, in a time of peace like now, he realizes how difficult it is to pass on the Dok clan's martial arts techniques. The head said he was ashamed and that Kamen should forgive him. It's just a fatherly feeling. Teacher said that he would think about transferring the technique after watching Namgung Mei for a while. The head said that in peacetime, when the Black Flower Squad was disbanded, they stopped their activities 5 years ago, and during the opening of Beck Academy, the squad was disbanded. So during that time, Kamen was only in the Mirim alliance? Teacher said it right. The teacher said that he heard what he wanted to hear, so let the head let him deviate. The training of his son, whom he is so worried about, is not over yet, the head asked, not interested to know why he called him a fake Kamen Dok as soon as he saw him. The head said that there are rumors that Kamen is punishing the world. In fact, many Safa forces are wary of him. Isn't that strange? Kamen Dok has been in the Union all along, but outside the Union Kamen also existed. Perhaps the peacetime will come to an end very soon. The next morning, Namgung woke up screaming and looked at himself and thought he had been cured. The teacher's assistant must have returned. Namgung ran out into the street, remembering the child, and started screaming his name. Jinhai was eating candy at the time, and when he saw his brother, he ran to hug him. All the boys gathered around him, seeing him on his feet. But the old man who was sleeping him stood under a tree and watched. Eunryung immediately went to check on him. After examining him, she said she thought Namgung was fine. There are only abrasions, but no major problems. He spent a lot of internal energy, so he'll spend it as soon as he recovers it. Yang was glad to hear such a thing and asked Namgung why he didn't use the signal fire. Namgung said that he was killed by the mercenaries. Yang said that the boy is fine. They will continue their journey tomorrow, but now they should rest well. Namgung Mei thought that he finally had hope. Now he really felt that he had become a warrior. Moon said he wanted to ask Namyoon something. He was surprised because this guy had spoken to him first. Namgung was surprised and frightened when he saw his gaze and thought, what did he do wrong? Why is he looking at him like he wants to kill him? Moon took out his sword and gave it to him. Namgung saw his wooden sword in front of him. Why is he giving it to him? Moon heard that Namgung used it to fight against assassins. Namgung was surprised and said it correctly. But he felt Moon saying it was creepy. Moon asked the guy, how did he fight with such a weak sword? A wooden sword wouldn't be able to withstand such energy. Namgung was surprised that the genius of the Moon family was asking him for advice. Namgung told him that when he strikes, the most important thing is to direct the flow of internal force to the object, even if it is a weak sword. Moon thought about his inner strength. Namyoon repeated to him that it was necessary to channel a bit of his energy. Namgung realized that the sword used by Moon Bo was strong enough by itself. There was no need to infuse energy into it, because it was already contained in such powerful swords. His teacher had told him that it was really hard. In order to see the inner power, one must be able to control the smallest amount of energy, half, because he only has a fraction of that energy in him. He's used to controlling small streams. Moon took the sword and placed it in front of him. Namgung saw that the guy was concentrating on him. Noticing the others as well, Namgung realized that Teacher Kamen had given out these tasks to strengthen their weaknesses. The true purpose of training is to put theory into practice. Moon couldn't stand his energy and broke his sword. Namgung didn't get upset when he saw that. Moon took one of his swords and gave it to Namgung. Namgung Mei has gotten the old sword. Of course, he hasn't fully recovered, but we can't delay the others. He must definitely protect these merchants. But suddenly someone said, Little Mei, don't work too hard. Namgung realized that the person who saved him was an elder. Namgung apologized for the late greeting. He is Namgung Mei of the Namgung family. The old man told him that enough greetings. Let the boy join them soon. Namgung said that as soon as the mission is over, he'll visit him again. Yang asked the guy, is he okay? Namgung said in a firm and strong voice yes, and he can go. Jan asked everyone to remember, even if it's just a training session, we can't forget about safety. The people of the village all saw the boys off and thanked them for helping their village. As they set off on their long journey, Vin asked Ian why the elder continued to follow them. Ian looked back and saw him, and said he didn't know why. Maybe he's gathering information for Kaban. Or maybe they're just going their separate ways. Then smiled and said that being with them gave him more confidence anyway. Chegal kept trying to learn how to sing on the melodeon. The old man asked her if she was practicing Yumgong. Chegal said yes. Their useless teacher said she should study it. He seems to think she can't handle it. The old man said he's sure she'll do well. If a bright kid like her studies it, I think she'll learn it in about 3 years. Chegal asked what 3 more years? The old man told her. What did she think? Yumgong is also a martial art. Strike said that even though it seems simple, you have to constantly train your skills and build up your strength. Does she still think it's easy? Did she ever wonder why the useless teacher gave her that flute? Chegal thought about it and said no. The old man said that even the smartest people often do stupid things. Let her look at the big picture, child of the Che family. Unren suddenly stopped and said that there was a battle going on somewhere nearby. The old man heard it and realized that this child had excellent hearing. The old man thought, who's out there fighting, and apparently he needs to check it out. He used his power and went to investigate. The old man mentally moved to the battlefield and saw that the Ami clan seemed to be fighting with the forest brigands. Wonfi was surprised to hear this and recalled his memories from when he was 6 years old. A girl came up to him and apologized for interrupting his sweeping. It was the head of the Ami Haga clan. Wonfi wrote to Namgung that if they are Ami clan students, then they are from the Heir group. He heard that they were merged into the Heir group with the participation of Mirim Meng. Namgung said that it's a well-known fact that the Ami clan and their school are all women. Wonfi didn't hold back and hit Namgung. He thought one had always had such a temper, right? Monks are supposed to be restrained. Unryong grabbed her head and said that they're getting closer and closer. They're going to fly over us. The mercenaries began to laugh, because one of the clan had fallen behind. Apparently she was very scared. The mercenary told her to entertain her and the boys, and they're keeping her alive in return. The girl said that not only were they ugly, but their mouths were ugly. The mercenaries attacked her, and told her to show her arrogant face. The mercenaries were able to cut her veil, and started laughing. The girl told them that they were mocking a woman, and her name is Yu Aaron, who will not forgive them. The guys were all surprised to see him. Namyun told Wonfa that it was his vow of silence. Now it's the end. The mercenary said that the face was hidden by a veil, so he thought it was a girl. But the man dressed as a woman, he's going to throw up. Yu Aaron heard them say they're all dead. They can make holes for the future. Namgung stood up for him, and told him not to say things that girls are not supposed to say. The mercenaries noticed that the guys didn't come here empty-handed. They said that these guys had spoiled their mood, but their loot is not bad. Let them hand over the loot, and run away if they don't want to die. Yu Aaron stood in front of Namgung and said that he might hurt himself, so he should move aside. Yu Aaron saw that Namgung is afraid, and his chi is unstable and he is apparently hurt. Why is he doing this to protect him? Yu Aaron remembered when she was 5 years old. Someone told her not to sit outside, but to go inside. Her mother asked her why she was sad about the children going to the Ami clan. He told her to get ready. The girl asked her mother where her father was. The mother cut the meat and said, in another weak voice. She asked her if she remembered her mother's words. The girl said that they are strong to the weak, but weak to the strong. Yu Youngjong said it right. All men are like that. Her father is no exception. That's why she needs to be strong herself. The girl asked if there were any who were weak and did not grovel before the strong. She told her if she found one, make him yours. She told him that he might get hurt, so let him move aside. She'll take care of everything, so let Namgung move aside. Yang, seeing the attackers, said to the snake group, prepare to fight. And on command, attack in return. Namgung saw Moan heed his words, so he would try to make sure to parry the blows. And most importantly, he must be able to control his chi. Moan realized that controlling his chi, he is not suited to the careful control of energy. However, he can simply swap one weapon for another before the first one breaks. The mercenary said the brat was crazy. He attacked Moan, but Moan was able to react and dodge the counter-attack. Moan realized that he had found his own path. Chegal had also taken on mercenaries and realized that at this level, she could only repel. She needed to understand why Kamen had given her that flute. She needs to take a broader view. But suddenly she realizes that this silence is different. than usual. This flute is made of a rare material that grows in the distant mountains. Black bamboo flute. Black bamboo is one of the rarest materials due to its elasticity and strength, not inferior to steel. She thought the flute was just painted black. Her approach was wrong. And now she's realized what she was meant for. She realized she could have used her that way. And now it's even better. Unrin realized that her detection skill was still poor. She decided to expand the area first. She needed to focus on the attackers. But suddenly, she saw the mercenary in front of her, and used her thoughts to release her knives and chained him to a tree. The mercenaries saw the guy and decided to kill him. Shaolin said that his dear Ami clan must be a mistake. This can't be real. Shaolin managed to react and repel their attack, which surprised the mercenaries. He was so angry that there was only one end to the mercenaries. The mercenaries attacked this weak teacher, but they didn't realize what he was capable of. And they fell into the arms of hell. The woman from the Ami clan used her martial arts. Namgung was surprised that she had dispatched the mercenaries. Namgung looked at her and thought, if she was going to kick her ass, why did she need a sword? The woman asked the guy if he could tell her his name. The guy said his name was Namgung Mei. The woman said her name is Yu Erin. She said her name is Yu Erin. Namgung said that Erin doesn't look like she has a scratch on her. She's strong. He looked at his guys and said that they are still fighting and he is obligated to help them. Namgung quickly ran toward his own people. But suddenly the mercenary attacked him, but the guy was able to react and dodge. Namgung used the reverse flow attack. He managed to kill this mercenary, but he realized that even though he had learned how to use it, it was not the limit. After looking at the others, he realized that he is very far behind his friends. But still, he is determined, so he will not give up. Ian watched the battle and saw the guys using their weapons much better than in the last battle. An epiphany happened. They finally got through all the mercenaries and tied them together. Ian said all the guys did a good job, then thanked everyone and said that thanks to these outstanding young masters, it was safe to say that they had a bright future. Yang said no, they still had a lot to learn. Yang spotted a woman and asked her if she was from the heir group. Yu Erin said yes, she was from the heir group. Yang asked her to tell her what had happened. Yu Erin said that while escorting Elder Wengap, they were attacked and fought by bandits. So the heir group split up. Jen understood and said that first they had to find his companions. Who is their teacher? Yang asked. But suddenly they heard singing from above the trees. And a beautiful girl in a red dress descended from the sky. The old man said that their teacher was a fairy. It's a girl, thought the old man, born like a pearl. It was a red floating fairy teacher, and her name is Yen Yenvi. The fairy said she finally found her lost girl. Does Erin know how long she's been looking for her? Erin apologized for leaving without permission. The fairy said that since she's polite, but this is the first and last time. Or should she punish her? Ian put his hand on her shoulder and said that until they return to the walls of the academy, the punishment can wait. Yen quickly turned around and hugged him, saying that he had an icy stare. The small sword devil wants to punish her. Yang asked her what was the sudden behavior. Yen said, didn't he call her a fairy? But at this moment, the bad people were watching them, waiting for the right moment to attack. The mercenary arrived at his home and told the chief that he was ready to report. The chief asked him how the situation was. The mercenary said that the humans were able to defeat all the attackers and then captured them. And they also found the elders. Since they have the elders of the major clans with them, we can't take drastic measures. Let them watch for now. But at that moment a bird flew in and brought the leader a letter. When he opened it, the leader was very surprised by what he saw. The head says they've been authorized. They're moving up the plan. And they're moving out tonight. The head took out the wooden box from his pocket, and said that this time he would kill everyone, adult and small. Yang built teacher Yen to move away from him. Namgung watched this and realized that even a teacher could be taken by surprise. Namgung heard some sounds in the forest, and asked his teachers what they were. Erin said she thought it was their sisters looking for them. Namgung asked her if they were the others from the heir group. Shaolin heard this and hoped that only this girl was so strange. The others were obviously normal. Shaolin heard their footsteps and turned around with joy. He froze and turned to stone at what he saw. One Fee realized that they were the same. The rabbit group is one of the 12 groups of female disciples of the Ami clan. Among them is Yu Aaron, who is rumored to be the head of the next generation. The people of Sichuan province especially appreciate her for her kindness and responsiveness and help the weak. Ami Flower, the locals love Aaron. That's why this child is called a girl with a twist, the old man said. Namgung realized that she was a great person when he heard that. Aaron went over to the old man and said that it was cold at night and that he should put a blanket over him. But suddenly she saw Namgung's gaze and wondered why he was looking at her like that. Vaughn told the old man to stop talking. It's impossible to listen to. The guys saw those faces. They're real men. Vaughn shouted and said it wasn't his Ami clan. The old man couldn't help himself and hit him over the head with a stick. Vaughn asked him what for. The old man said, "How can such a Shaolin monk have such a foul mouth? Now I see why the abbot of the monastery gave him such a task." The clan, Ami, gathered separately from everyone else and listened to Aaron's stories. Then she told them to calm down and not to stir things up. Aaron said that they had only just met. The girl asked him if he really thought it was fate. Aaron said yes, but even if it's not her, she'll do anything to make it hers. And no one will stop her. Cheol asked the elder why he called the rabbit group Teacher Fairy. The old man said that the reason they say that is because of her personality and martial arts. Jinju's family was originally founded on fistic prowess, and using cold weapons is considered cowardice. But Yen was not suited to the hand-to-hand combat of the He family, because success in their style was only achievable with a strong body. However, Yen, who had great ambition, came up with her own technique, and instead of her body, her weapon of choice was fabric. Since cloth is not even a sword, her family began to reproach her for her lack of accomplishments as a warrior. Yen immediately left the clan and went to Kanho. The old man said that after that she developed her own style, and thus became famous. Chegal said it's strange. Isn't that commendable? She gave up her family and achieved everything on her own. The old man said she was right. However, there's something that can cause trouble for others. Her Bishon Shingen style allows you to control even a thin thread. It is Bishon Shingen that allows you to channel internal energy into the threads and manipulate people like puppets. Without knowing her true intentions, he never knows how she'll behave. That's why she's called a fairy. Chegal said that it really looks like witchcraft from this side. The old man said that if they had dealt with envy, they would have said the same thing. Yen asked Yang, so they don't know when the killer will attack again? Yang said yes. Teacher Kamen said he can handle it by himself. But what if something happens? Yun said that she has doubts about Teacher Quimendok, whether he trusts his students so much or wants to put them in danger. Yang said he thought Kamen believes in them. Ing thought about it, and wondered about Kamen Dok, what kind of person he is. Yen said that no matter what, she has to protect the rabbit group. Let the guys not expect much from her. Besides, Elder Y Yang is defenseless. Yang thanked her for her help. The fairy said no, if she helped, she'd fall in love with Yang. Jan was surprised and blushed when he heard that. The fairy said it was too late, and they should leave. No one suspected that they were about to be attacked. Ian realized from the movement that they were not robbers, but murderers, and the boys are no match for them, so he has to take it all on himself. The fairy said she would help him with these enemies, and together they went to them. The mercenaries had surrounded them all and were moving at a speed the guys didn't even realize. The old man said those guys were back. Namgung didn't see the mercenary attacking him, but the old man was in time and deflected the blow, saving the guy. The old man shouted to them that earlier they had scattered like rats, but now they were attacking them head-on. The mercenary told the grandfather that he would see that rats could bite, and ordered his men to surround the boys. Moon saw that there were so many mercenaries. The guys didn't know what to do and who to start this battle with. Chehol told them to split up, because the elder's safety comes first. Jen saw his guys and realized that thanks to the experience gained earlier, they are now not confused. Way to go, Che Galmi. The guys tried to resist the experienced mercenaries, but in no case they did not lower their hands, and were ready to fight to the end. Moan remembered that the assassin's name and May was talking about were very different from brigands. They tried to attack Moan together, but he was able to react and attack them from above with a ferocious sword. Moan felt that they were very strong. He couldn't believe that Namgung May had really killed two of them. Moan tried to reach one of the bandits with his sword. He knew he had to get an advantage, but suddenly one of the mercenaries said that his body wasn't moving. It was the same fairy with her ropes. The fairy shouted to her rabbits and asked them what they should do now. They said to protect the elder at all costs. She said right, and not a scratch. The old man also tried to resist the mercenaries, and laughed, saying that his servants couldn't even defeat children. The mercenary realized that not only Namgung, but also the others could fight. He said to Elder Cabin, "These guys must be the best students of their clans, right?" The old man told him that he seemed to realize his situation. Would he give up again and run away? He asked the mercenary. The mercenary said to the old man, "He thinks they came here without a plan B?" He yelled that he's letting everyone use the tanhuan. The mercenaries all took substances out of their pockets and ate. The old man thought they had just eaten, but suddenly it occurred to them that it might be the same elixir that was in the wooden box earlier. Fairy and Yang fought like first-class warriors. Fairy told him they'd make a good couple. Why don't they do it again with others? Yang told teacher Yen Yendi that this is not the time for jokes. She said it's not a joke and they are strong. Nimian said that there were about 50 people, but now there are no more than 10. But when suddenly someone tried to attack him, he managed to use the double dragon tornado attack. The guy realized that if this continued, they would win. He heard that the mercenary was allowing his fighters to use tanhuan. At that moment, the mercenaries turned into monsters and produced a red color. I realized it was those pills from that box. The mercenaries didn't wait for anything and started attacking the guys. Shaolin took the attack on his weapon and felt their strength change. Namgung saw all this and didn't realize they had changed so much after using Tanghuan. Chiol said to Unrin to look at One Bei. One thing she didn't realize was that she'd had a similar feeling before. She'd seen something like this once. In the city of Noxogon, a mercenary came to the Lord and said that they were becoming suspicious. The Lord said that everything they do is for the greater good, so what is he worried about? The mercenary said that he had been working for him for over 2 years. But even so, the thing they started trading looks dangerous. The head said that this thing is really dangerous, but at the same time it's tempting. Once you take it, you'll become extremely powerful, and you'll fight until you use up all your life force. For them, the assassins, it's especially valuable. The mercenary said it's certainly better than self-destruction by drinking poison. Explosive pills, the day they spread around the world will be the day of the end for the mirim, said the head. The mercenary looked at the old man and said he would see if they could stop his guys. The battle began on a different level. And the battle was not for life but for death. No one was ready to retreat. Che Gao received a serious attack, but Moon managed to catch her and asked her if she was okay. Che Gao told him that it was his intonation that pissed her off even in this situation. She realized that the mercenaries were orders of magnitude stronger. They wouldn't be able to do anything. She realized that she had already reached her limit. To think that some pill had increased their strength so much. Even the teachers couldn't hold them back. The old man became very angry and brought out his full power, saying that those who rely on pills will not defeat them. Chiol said she had no choice but to trust the elder. She told Unrin to take one and run to the elder. And the rest of the guys should hold them off. They need to kill at least one of them and leave all of themselves here, no matter what it costs them. What they've seen is that even if they unite, they can't deal with them. Namgung saw that the mercenaries' bodies were protected by internal energy. He suddenly noticed the merchant who was being attacked. Namgung didn't think twice and ran to him to save him. Chegel shouted at him that they should hold their position. But he knew he had to save him. The mercenary told him that he was caught. Namgung dodged the blow, but the mercenary managed to react and pierced his arm with his sword. Namgung grabbed his hand and sat down on his knee. The mercenary told him to try to show off this time. Namgung looked into his eyes and recognized him. It was the leader of the mercenaries. The one who had attacked him last time. The mercenary was waiting for a hero to pull him out of this hell. And one day, he finally came. At that moment, he thought he was saved, but then he realized that you can't always rely on other people's help. Soon they were attacked by bandits. It was just a month after the saviors left. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. He thought, what's the difference between right and wrong? After all, everything relies on force. One day the head asked the guy, does he even know who he is? The mercenary cuts off his head without saying anything and says that the strong is always right. Namgung drew his sword and said that the mercenary had the same look as him. The mercenary attacked him with a spiral attack. Namgung realized that he had to break those whips, but he chose the right moment and decided to stab them in the center. He was glad he did it. But suddenly a mercenary attacked him from behind and slashed his body. The mercenary was surprised after the attack that the guy was able to avoid death. He was able to dodge at the last moment. Namgung told him that his teacher also told him that he had great eyesight. Chegel was able to get close to the mercenaries and struck. But she saw that with this blow she could only tear her clothes. Moon didn't want to give up either, and fought to the end all the time. He realized that the mercenaries were too strong for them. He also saw that Namgung Mei's opponent was stronger than the others, even though he didn't even take Tangwan. So he's their leader. But then an attack comes flying at Moon and he's too late to react. Just as Chegel was able to save him from that blow, Moon says he's come to his senses and she can let him go. Chegal tells him they're even now. Chegal took her gaze away from Namgung and saw a girl stand in front of him and take the blow. Namgung's face covered in blood and he was surprised. The next day, Namgung woke up early in the morning with a smile on his face and heard someone counting the approaches. As he walked through the house, he saw a boy who was practicing. Namgung said he needed to get a better balance. The boy turned around and told Hyun that he had scared him. Namyeon asked him what he was doing here all alone. He should be with his sister. The boy said that Jinro is with his grandfather. Namgung said that his sister had just been taken out of captivity. The boy said that's why he's here. This time his family and the villagers survived only because of the hens and the newness, but next time they may not be around. Namgung said that just helping them won't make a difference. Defeating the bandits is only a temporary measure, but what's next? They will be the target of another gang. Are their actions meaningless? The boy looked at him and thanked him. He said that Hyun tried so hard to save him that he got hurt. He realized something watching him. It's selfish to expect someone to save him. That's why you have to take matters into your own hands. Namgung said that it was not pointless after all. In fact, saving others is not to protect them, but to help them change themselves. The mercenary told the guy that he's sorry to see him try. He wants to see how long Namgung can hold out. Namgung saw that the gulf between them was too great. But if he gave up, but no, he must hold out until the end. Namgung managed to find the strength to attack him with a double dragon tornado, and hit the mercenary's shoulder. He was angry and attacked the guy back, kicking him. The bunny clan woman couldn't see it, and stood up for the guy. She felt that his strength was equal to her strength. He saw Namgung lying on the ground and ran to help her. The protector asked her where she was going. At this point, Namgung was bleeding but he wouldn't give up. The mercenary said he had zero chance. Why does he keep getting up? Does he think he can do anything? Namgung that he doesn't know his limit? Namgung said it's not because he doesn't know his limit, he just has to do it. The mercenary pulled out his knives and said that then he too would do what he had to do. Namgung saw him attacked and felt that he couldn't move and this was his end. But Erin took his place and took the attack on him, defending the boy. She said it looked like she had chosen a good man. The mercenary said he couldn't believe she threw herself under the knife to save him. It's called doggy death. Namgung was very and saw a sword glittering on the ground. He didn't pick it up and struck with his fist, but suddenly he was absorbed by another force, and he became much stronger. He was so strong that he chopped the mercenaries with a single blow. The old man was very surprised when he saw this, and the guys were also frozen in their seats. Namgung brought out his inner demon. He turned into a killing machine that the mercenaries couldn't resist. His strength was unbelievable, which even scared the guys. After all, they knew him as a calm kid, but suddenly Namgung shouted and the mercenaries all quieted down. The old man wondered why they all reacted to him. They all gathered around and attacked him, but no one knew how strong and powerful he was. The old man asked, "What happened to that child? Did he take Tanhuan too?" Yan looked at him and said no, he's been like this since he entered the academy. The old man asked him, "From the beginning?" There's very little information about this Tanhuan. We should have found out about him earlier. All these mercenaries fight like beasts. Their aura is too strong. As their life energy diminishes, they get stronger. But the kid's not drawing strength from it. It's more like internal energy. Moon remembered Namgung, just like that time in the exam. But his strength is different. Chai-gal was surprised too, because this was not the Namgung Mei she remembered. So this was the secret Namgung Mei's father was hiding. The mercenaries had all covered Namugna and were lying on top of him. The old man shouted to the guys, "Why are they standing there like that? They're going to tear him to shreds." All the guys ran to help Namgung, but they couldn't move the mercenaries. Suddenly, light began to shine through them, and they moved away from them. Namgung got to his feet and threw the mercenaries in different directions with his incredible strength. Namgung was no longer in control of his powers and attacked the guys. Moon and Chegel joined the battle and used their powers against him. Yang caught the guys and asked them if they were okay. Chegel said yes, but why didn't that idiot Namgung recognize them? Yang told them to stand back and leave everything to him, and taking up his sword he drew it and went to fight Namgung. The head of the mercenaries came to his senses and said he didn't lose. And there's no way he can lose to these guys. He took and ate the very pill he had told his soldiers to eat. The teacher was waiting for them at the waterfall, but he thought it was strange that they were not there. The teacher wondered what the kids were up to. He decided to wait another 15 minutes. Yan stood on the defense and told Namgung to attack him, but suddenly he saw the head of the mercenaries, and the kid was thrown aside by his arm. The head of the mercenaries turned into a monster and told Ian that he was going to kill this kid and to stay out of his way. Ian noticed that this mercenary was very different from the others. So strong, he must have taken Tangwan. Yan attacked him with his man's sword-style attack. The mercenary released his arrow rope and said that it wasn't enough to stop him. The arrow pierced Ian and destroyed his attack. But then the old man intervened and said that he didn't know what the mercenary had eaten, but it wouldn't help him. The mercenary grabbed the old man's stick and held it in his hands. The old man said that time he thought the mercenary was in peak form. The mercenary took his weapon and broke it into 2 pieces. The old man couldn't believe that the mercenary had achieved such strength just by taking Tan Huan. Namgung saw the mercenary, and walked at high speed next to the old man to attack the crazy man. But the old man saw this and punched Namgung. The old man realized that he couldn't fight them both at the same time. He wondered what to do. He told the guys to distract Namgung, but suddenly the rest of the mercenaries began to rise to their feet. The old man asked when these guys had managed to shrivel up so much. But on the other hand, their energy had increased. It was blinding. The old man realized that they would become more powerful until their life force ran out. He shouted to everyone to get up and get ready to fight. Yang raised his head and said that they were in trouble and there was no way they could win. Kamen told him to take care of the guys. Yang asked the teacher what he should do. Kamen said he wondered where his guys were lost. Kamen looked around and said that there was something wrong. The boys were surprised and happy to see him, because he had come to help them. The teacher asked the boys what the hell they ate to turn into such ugly mercenaries. The mercenary attacked the teacher, but Kamen put on his mask and threw him aside with one finger. Kamen said that they're gutless animals. If that's what they decide to do, they feel fear of death. Once again the mercenaries decided to attack in droves, but once again they didn't realize who they were fighting against. And what lay ahead? The old man looked at all this and was surprised, for Kamen had hacked them all down with a single blow. Fairy saw him and remembered that he was teacher Queen Mendok. He had such a terrifying amount of energy. Finally he reached the most important mercenary of all, and told him that he would have to explain to him what was going on here. He tried to say something, but he couldn't. The teacher asked him if he had swallowed his tongue. The mercenary realized he was dead. Suddenly, the teacher sucked his energy, and he started vomiting blood. Kamen asked him if he could talk now. Moan said that if you compare their powers, they're like a delinquent child and a father. Chegel said that no, that's not even his full power. Is it definitely their weakest, fake teacher? It seems like she really couldn't see further than her nose. Namgung also went towards the teacher, but Kamen stopped him with one hand and said, "Here comes his naughty student." Kamen asked him if he should tell him, right? And after sucking out his inner energy, he fell to the ground and passed out. Kamen said they should continue, and asked the mercenary again what they had eaten. The mercenary told him to get out, because he was a monster. Kamen asked him, which one of them is the monster? The one who attacks the innocent, or the one who cares about his student? He ate a pill he knows nothing about. Let him see what she did to him. As far as he's concerned, the only monster here is mercenary. The mercenary said no, the reason he's like this is because they made him like this. It's because of their union mirim. He used to steal to survive. And the damn world wanted him dead. So he started killing to survive. This world made him this way. The world they made. Kamen said that's it, but didn't he make that choice himself? The mercenary froze upon hearing such a question. Kamen says he doesn't care about his past. He asks him what he ate, and where did he get it. The mercenary understood what he had to say to the teacher, said that they were explosive pills, noxelgok. He shouted that he wanted to live, but the teacher wished him dead. Kamen said it right, they are responsible for their decisions. One day he will have to answer for his choices. Namgung was once again in another world, and a voice told him that once again he had come. What kind of warrior is he, who can't even protect the person who is standing right in front of him? And who's he gonna protect? He knew he couldn't win, so he decided to become a monster. The voice said he can't even defend himself. No one believes in him anyway. What's he capable of? Namgung doesn't even have outstanding abilities. But suddenly he opened his eyes and saw his mom in front of him. But then Kamen showed up and asked him how far he planned to go. And with small blows to the head, he told him to stop. But suddenly he woke up and came to his senses and realized it was a dream. And standing next to him was Aaron, who had saved him. Aaron got angry and said he had nothing to do right now, so she decided to take care of the sick. Aaron ran and said she would call a doctor. Namgung shouted at her that her back was sick. So where was she running to? He got out of bed and wondered where he was. He looked out the window and saw people in the beautiful city of Habuksong. The teacher was sitting on the roof at the time and asked the boy if he was surprised. Namgung asked him what he was doing here. Kameng said he told Namgung to practice reverse flow. He just used it. Namgung realized the mistake and apologized. The teacher said it was okay. It was also his fault for not paying more attention to it. The teacher said he would teach him his martial art. Even his father gave him permission. Now it was up to him to choose whether he would become his disciple, Kamen asked. Namgung firmly said yes. The teacher said they'll drop the formalities. Although he's the teacher of the snake class, it should remain a secret. He was told about everything that happened while he was gone. He asked the guy why he died protecting a child. Even though it didn't go according to plan, the guy was good. But then the guys ran into the room and Moan said that Namgung May hadn't recovered yet, so why did he jump out of bed? Namgung wanted to say that it was because of the teacher, but when he turned around, he didn't see him and kept silent. The doctor checked his pulse and said it was unbelievable. Strange that he could recover so quickly. Aaron asked if he was all right. The doctor told her he was fine. He'll restore his inner energy, and he's ready to go. Chegel told the guy that even though it's bad timing, she asked him what his secret was. He looks like those killers. Namgung said that there was no secret. He just felt an overabundance of chi. Is that a good answer? Cheol said that it wasn't like an overabundance of chi at all. The old man found the teacher, and said he hadn't seen his face in a long time. Where was he? The old man asked. Kameng said he was happy to meet the regiment commander, Hong Sogal. Hong told him not to make fun of him. He's only been a commander for 3 months, and that was only temporary. It's been a long time. The teacher said temporary or not, it doesn't matter. A commander is always a commander. Hong thought about how to put it mildly. He handed over the commander's seat to a more competent person, who knew the famous Kui Mendok looked like this. He should have worked on his looks. Kamen said that he doesn't like her much either, but he is no longer part of the Black Flower. The old man said he heard that the Black Flower has been disbanded. He's been assigned to oversee the organization's information. The teacher said he could guess which one. The old man took out a box and said this is it. He doesn't know who sent it or what's inside, but the authorities have already taken care of it. If Kui asked him about it, then it's a futile search. The old man asked him if this was what he was looking for. Kamen took it and said yes, this is exactly what he was looking for. When Kamen arrived in Noxelgok, he saw so many deaths. These wounds look like they've been ripped open. So many people have been killed. It's obvious that the masters of their craft were at work. When he went upstairs, he saw that there was a real massacre at the top. And there he saw the head of the mercenaries, Who was killed? Looking at the pill, he said no one survived. Well, they didn't have many people. But that's not the problem. Starkey asked him if he'd found anything. Command said he'd found evidence, and there were two. One left on purpose, one left by accident. The old man said it means they're trying to cover their tracks. Well, then I guess I'll have to find out for myself. Command asked him where he was going. The old man said he didn't sign up to be his apprentice, so he didn't need to control him. The teacher asked him if he should go. The old man said he shouldn't, he's not that old. Kameng thought about it, and said that judging from the sword marks, it was the karma of the path he was following. But then the old man came back. Kameng asked him if he had left yet. The old man said his eyes were full of a sense of responsibility. The old man said that now he understood why he was made a teacher. Kameng asked him why. The old man told him to look at those kids. They've seen the horrors of war, and they haven't. And they're fighting and dying just so those kids can have a bright future. Let Kameng keep an eye on them. The old man gave him a bottle and asked him if he was thirsty. Kameng took it and said yes, he was thirsty. That same night at Namgung family, the eldest son drew his sword and said it's been 3 months. And where is his little brother? Masked men targeting the snake class. They are assassins hired by the leader of the Jonkian group to destroy the Sukkum trade caravan. As a countermeasure, the Mirim Union immediately appointed a team of investigators and sent them to the headquarters of the Chongshin Gorakov group, except everyone involved in the investigation was dead. Not a single piece of evidence was found. The investigation was taken over by the Red Flower Squad, which reports directly to the head of the Mirim Union. The Mirim Union headquarters has gathered people for an interview. The teacher of the rat class, Juvui, said that they did well in the field exercise. Did the other classes do well too? Tiger class teacher Ho Suk said that the result of the rat class, they are the ones who can only bunch up in formation and that's it. Bunny On Yun's class teacher told them to guess who's playing the villains? They're not hungover, can't they continue their fight somewhere else? There are too many eyes watching them here. Ho Suk told her that she doesn't want to listen to her. Heoyag told her not to call her milady, she's called the Red Fairy who comes down from heaven, although maybe the villains are calling her milady. Budong's bull class teacher told them to stop. This meeting was called by the head of the Mirim Union. The teacher of the horse class, Jiam Moon, said that the head had ordered all 12 teachers to appear. So why doesn't he see the teachers of the dragon class and the snake class? Does anyone know why they aren't there? Someone said that the head had arrived at the meeting, and everyone stood up and greeted him. The head told them to sit down. The aide said all the Beck Academy classes returned from the field exercise safe and sound. He will listen to the details of the reports individually. This experience will surely benefit every faction in the future. This guy Chaegal Song is the younger brother of the head of the Chaegal family. The head said that the teachers and children worked hard. He thanked everyone for their hard work. The teacher of the rat class told the chapter that this might sound a little pretentious, but he had a question. The head told him to ask. The teacher of the rat class said that the head ordered all the teachers to gather. But only 10 out of 12 teachers are here. Does he want to know the reason? They realized that the snake class teacher, Kamendok, was no match for them. Every teacher at Beck Academy was a master of his craft, the best of the best. It was clear why Master Kamen didn't show up. Why isn't there a dragon class teacher? The head said he respects both teachers. One of them is his friend who has supported him for 20 years. It's Kui Mendok. When the teachers were surprised to hear this, the teacher of the pig class assumed it was really Kui Mendok. He almost died, and the second said head, the snake class area. An open area. At that time, Namgung was practicing there. Jan was practicing and saw that everyone had gotten used to the exercises. So he suggested that they do another 100. At this time, Aaron was still watching the training and saw that young Master Mei. Today he also looked stylish. The girl asked Aaron if she was going to stare at him all day. She told her that the girl didn't know anything. She took out a book and said that this is one of the techniques of seduction, on the streets. Everyone is talking about it. The third technique, how to win the heart of a man, it is called the game of unattractive. She said she's been too pushy all this time. So now they can assume she's keeping her distance and hiding from him. Sooner or later he'll wonder where she's gone and start looking for her. The girls said Aaron is amazing. Namgung looked into the bushes and said that Aaron hadn't been seen anywhere in the last few days. Young said to wrap it up. One said he's getting used to it. Namgung asked him if he had finished practicing silence. Vaughn said that he had already violated it, so he would be scolded anyway when he returned to the temple, so he could say whatever he wanted. Namgung told him that one would have to start all over again. Moan said that it looked like young Master May's health had returned to normal since he had lasted the entire training session. Namgung seems to have gotten even stronger, Moan said. Chigal said that he became stronger after the incident with the assassins. He also had the same energy as the mercenaries back then. Unren said that his wounds healed so quickly, it was strange, but suddenly someone from behind told Namgung that he was also tough. The man asked him what class he was from. The chapter said that the second person was the dragon class teacher. Chu Dok was assault sword. The teachers asked if he was a teacher. Isn't there a big difference between them? The hound class teacher, Seogwa, said that if it was Jo Du, then he was one of the Stormblades of the unusual triad. Why did Stormblade agree to be a teacher at the military academy? Seo said she doesn't know him personally. She's asking because as far as she knows, the academy's teachers are among the 100 masters. But if he's one of the triad, is he as good as the head? Even the heads of large clans are either in the early unrestrained realm, or are deprived of their strength because they cannot reach it. Meanwhile, the unusual triads have already reached the later unbridled realm. They are very close to the light realm. The head said it's right. It wouldn't be surprising if he becomes the next head of the Mirima League. However, they'll all understand when they get to know him. The teacher said he heard that this guy doesn't stay in one place for long. The head said he'll run away if they try to hold him back. He'll disappear if we restrict him. Hence the nickname Stormblade. The teacher asked, then how did he become a teacher of the military academy? The head said that one day he came to him and desperately asked to become a teacher. And he is one of the triad. 3 months ago, the head was playing a game of Spot the Difference, and said that they were different. But then a warrior came to him, and said that a long time had passed. It was the Stormblade, Jo Du. The head asked him what brought him here. Wasn't he traveling the world looking for a successor? Jo said it's true. Finding a genius like him is not easy. The head agreed with him, and said it's hard to find a gifted person. That's why the head said they built a white military academy. Jo said he actually found one, but he refused to become his apprentice. Then he found out that his path was here. The head said who rejected the Stormblade. It seems he's as stubborn as he is. Jo laughed and said that he agreed to be the head. But anyway, he wants to ask the head for a favor. Have the head send him and his future student to the same class. The head said that his clan affiliation is important. Jo said he made the wrong decision out of ignorance. Now he's got to help him make the right decision. The head said Jo must be interested in him. That's the only reason he's not hiding anything, right? Jo laughed and said that the chapter could not be held. He would like to find more candidates for the apprentice. The head asked him if he wanted to steal them from the other classes. Jo said he had to find the only successor to the dragon arts. The head agreed and told him to do what he wanted. Jo was glad and told him not to change his mind later. The head said that the successor's decision is most important. He can make him an offer, but the decision will always be his. The head told the teachers, that's how it was. So teachers should work hard and teach the children well, so as not to fall flat in front of Stormblade and commend Dok's disciples later. The guys asked Jo on the mountain who he was. Jo came down in front of them and said he was the first one to ask the question, what class were they from? The girls said that she was from the snake class of the military academy, and her name was Jigelmi. She knew that she couldn't be fooled by her appearance again. He might be as strong as Teacher Kamen. Why did she ask him his name and call him sir? The guy got indignant and asked, does he look like an old man? Jo pointed his finger at Moan and asked what his name was. The guy said he was Moan Bo of the Moan family. Jo examined him thoroughly, and even hugged him tightly. Moan asked him what he was doing to him. Jo said that for a son from a prestigious family, he has a good physique. Even better than his candidate. Jo offered him a test to see who's stronger. Moan was scared and thought he wanted to kill him, but suddenly Namgung intervened and told Jo to stop. Jo looked at him and told him not to distract him. When he saw Namgung, he told them all to look. There's a strange energy inside his body. It turns out there are a lot of interesting kids in this class. Joe held out his hands to say hello and asked him what class he was from. But then Kamen came in and said that he was from the snake class and Namgung was his student. Joe smiled and said that he should be Kamen Dok's teacher then. Their energy was unlikely, it even made the ground crack. The guys were surprised at their power. Vaughn said he'd seen it before. He made a scene when he came to the Shaolin to get a drink. I thought he was crazy. Looking for alcohol in such a sacred place at such a time. Vaughn said that the monk then addressed it as a storm blade. I thought that it was the same storm blade. Kameng asked Stormblade, is he going to continue? Joe said he was really amazed, and didn't think Ko was that strong. Kamen could see on his face that he was enjoying it. Maybe it's time to get him hard, he thought. But suddenly, Kameng Dok started coughing loudly and spitting out blood. He wondered why this was happening at this moment. Joe saw this and released his energy. Joe said he seemed to have lost control. He asked Kamen Dok if he was okay. Ka said it was nothing. He was surprised to hear that Joe had become a mentor at Mia Beck's military academy. Joe said he was also surprised that one of the best killers became a teacher, although his face without the mask is still amazing. Kameng said there's nothing you can do, so it's better for him. But suddenly Erin ran out of the bushes and with fear in her face asked Namgung if he was okay, if he was hurt. When Joe saw it, he was surprised, and could not believe in this terrible power, which is as strong as any stone. Is it really the legendary celestial battle body? Joe asked him, what was her name, and what clan was she from? Erin said she's not interested in men his age. John said he's not that way. Kamen said her name was Erin, she was from Amikala. When Joe heard that, he wondered if it was only women. Joe realized that in this situation he had to give up. Ka asked him why he was not attending today's meeting. Joe said a teacher's meeting, is it mandatory? He was just wandering around Beck Military Academy. Joe asked him if he was there. Kamen wasn't sitting at the table, but he was watching and listening from the back room. Joe said that since it was just him, he'd get some from the elder. They'd see each other later, he said. Kamen asked him why he was leaving so early. John said he had just come to say hello when he heard that Queen Ming Dok was a teacher. Joe said he saw a lot of interesting things. He was especially surprised by the students in the snake class. The Kamen boys have great potential. Like a bug about to become a dragon, does he realize? Kamen thanked him for those words. But he was interrupted by John, and asked him why he was addressing him as you. Even though they didn't know each other, they were the same age. Moan certainly didn't know that Stormblade was so young. Joe said his follower was still better than Kamen Dok. And after saying goodbye to them, he flew away. Chiol asked the teacher, was it really a Stormblade? From the 3 heavenly masters. Ka said it was really him. The dragon's martial arts were able to advance him to the top 3 heavenly masters at such a young age. That's why he's so focused on choosing his followers. And there's no better place to accomplish his goal than Beck Military Academy. Snake class, Kamen said they're going to find out anyway, so let them listen. There was a big announcement at the teachers' meeting today. All students at Beck Military Academy must compete in a martial arts competition. When John arrived at the academy, he wondered if it was then. Kamyeong Duk turned out to be an interesting person. It's good that he came here. A martial arts competition. This is a mirim union competition designed to find those gifted enough to lead the Justice faction into the future. Originally held every 3 years under the name of the Young Dragon and Phoenix Tournament. When after the construction of the P Military Academy, many talented people began to gather together. The rules and requirements of the tournament have also changed, I asked, so it's not just the name that's changed, right? Kamen, the rules have changed too. Among the 12 groups, only 6 can reach the finals. Moon said that in that case, the preliminary tournament. Ka said that the preliminary round will be held next year. They have to win as a group to get to the finals. And there they will have to fight for themselves, so they will be allies in the preliminary round, but enemies in the finals. The guys were surprised to hear that. Fairy said it means that if they lose as a group, they won't make it to the finals, no matter how talented they are. The fairy asked Erin what she was doing here. Her bad behavior is due to her youth, right? Erin is punished from today. Fairy told Kamen Dok that she hadn't seen him at the meeting, so she was going to tell him what was announced. But as you'd expect from a former Black Flower commander, He's surprisingly quick with information. Even if he faces each other in the finale, they won't be coddling him during the battle. Namgung realized that Aaron would probably be reprimanded. When she left, she told him that she wouldn't be able to visit him for a while. Namgung said that practicing with her helped him a lot. It's a pity they won't see each other for a while. Aaron realized that their love was in jeopardy. They might have to endure a long winter, but Vesta would come. She was looking forward to that day. Namgung thought about Aaron's words, from winter to spring should be, meaning that if they were to face obstacles as harsh as winter, their skills would only be strengthened. Namgung told her that he too would wait for that moment. Aaron realized that young master may shared the same feelings with her. In that case, she told him to take care of himself until that day. That night, Chego gathered everyone together and told them they should focus on practicing general formation. Kamen said that she was wrong. Kamen was outraged and said that the teacher himself had said that they would fight as a group in the preliminary round. Even while practicing outside, they did it mindlessly. They never practiced. Kasen said that this general formation is really a fearsome strength, but it has one weakness. What if one of them gets hurt? What if the opposing team exploits this gap in the defense? What if one of them gets ambushed and gets separated from the others? Such formations are strong, but they miss one thing. Any little thing can destroy it, and that is weakness. Cuz said he used to be an assassin. What do the guys think he's gonna teach them? A secret technique to train Black Flower members. When the boys were surprised to hear this, Kim Myung-duk calmly said that he would pass this knowledge on to them. As he began his task, Moon realized that he needed to be even quieter. He needed to blend in with his surroundings. She resented the fact that she really had to do it too, and didn't understand how she had to do it. But suddenly, Kamen started counting and scared the guys and said that one fee was out. They will never be able to pass him, the former commander-in-chief of the Black Flower. I asked, is this really the training method used in the Black Flower? Kamen said that this training is like practicing turtle breathing. They will learn how to hide their presence. This is a basic Black Flower training method that can be quickly mastered in a couple of days. Do the guys know what advantage they will have if they can hide their presence in the middle of a massive battle? This small difference can decide their fate and determine whether they survive or die in such battles. Moon said that it was obvious that in a decisive situation, it would be better if he was able to conceal his presence. Namgung said it's harder than he thought. When they try to measure, their body starts shaking. But if you try to stop the shaking with chi, its consumption will greatly increase and its concentration. Chego was very unhappy with this kind of training and said it's not true. It's just child's play. That afternoon, Kamen was waiting at the training field for a boy, so he came. Namgung said he was looking forward to training with his teacher. Kamen said what he had been teaching him all this time was the method of concentrating the chi scattered all over his body. In Tanjong, Namyoon knew that once all his chi energy gathered in one place, his Tanjong also became bigger. Unlike the paltry amount of chi he used before, with Tanjong's current state, he would be able to keep up with other martial artists. Master said that from now on, he would teach him the reverse rebirth technique, his personal martial arts technique. Reverse reincarnation technique. There was still no one who had obtained the martial technique created by Kamen Dok. Namgung was happy that he would finally learn his teacher's martial arts. Kamen said that like water falling downward, they were following the flow of water that was prescribed to them. This is the law of nature and the world order. But humans are creatures that try to go against nature. Like farmers cultivate the land and blacksmiths forge iron, people move forward using nature, not following it. Within the universe, only people struggle to evolve and use things to improve. Masters of martial arts, accumulating chi energy, there are Tanjong and Zhoutian. Namyoon said that Tanjong is the center of the body, and Zhoutian circulates the chi from Tanjong throughout the body. The teacher told him that this is correct. Tanjong is the bowl of the human body that contains nature. But his bowl is split in two. It's extremely unnatural. His chi was clouded by the terrible yang energy, which was able to burn his chi flow. Namgung realized that if his father didn't separate it with his chi, his Tanjong and chi streams would be destroyed. Teacher said that the first step of the reverse rebirth technique is reverse flow, Yugunin. The first step of rebirth is to go against nature again. Yugunin might have scared him, but this time he would have to put his life on the line. Namyoon looked at the teacher and said he was ready. Master said that in the end, The very fact that the heir of a noble family is going to use Iguanin is insane. So it's time to do something even crazier. The next step is to use direct flow chi and Iguanin at the same time. Namgung was surprised to see this when his teacher showed him. After exterminating a village in the past, the squad leader came there and said that the killer had left not so long ago. Let them use the net of heaven and earth. They must catch him and find some clue. Kamen watched the wars carefully so they wouldn't find him. He saw that only a red flower had come to the scene. Jan suddenly noticed something and asked what it was. He felt the same energy as his teacher. Using his acceleration, he saw Kamen Dok. Jan used his attack to repel the attack. He saw in Kamen Dok's eyes that he was really strong. He thought that he needed to intercept the advantage with his best skills, and attacked him with the blue lion sword technique. Kamen Dok with his rope spun him around and fought him off. He told him that it looked like it was his strongest technique. Wouldn't he like to taste his technique now? Kamen drew his weapon and attacked him with multiple needles. Ian felt as if his sword had come to life. Lying on the floor, Yang couldn't move, and seeing the dark energy and ghost mask, he said, "Is the enemy from the black flower." The guy told him he was Queen Mendok. Yang denied it, and said that the real Queen Mendok is a teacher at Beck Academy. Queen Mendok took his gun and said that Yang was wrong too. Yang asked him what he was wrong about. The guy said that Kamen was fake. When Kamen Dok left, he told Yang to stay out of his way. He called him the Red Flower Warrior. Yang couldn't believe that he couldn't be a fake. He remembered a memory from the past when his father was killed by Queen Mendok. At Beck Academy, Namgung said that they had been practicing all the time, so they couldn't even get a good look around. But Beck Academy was quite spacious. Vaughn said, "Sure, that fucking teacher made us practice day and night in snake class, so we didn't have a second to look around." The guys were staring at them and couldn't believe their eyes that these disciples weren't dead. They also started discussing out of the Shaolin. One got angry and told them, "What are they looking at? They've never seen a bald man before." Namgung saw this and started laughing at his behavior. Namgung was waiting for someone and knew that they had agreed on this time. But then they saw each other. It was that guy Jipyeon. Namgung asked him how he was doing. Jipyeon said he was fine. He was happy to see him again. He asked why the guys hadn't come out of the snake class all this time. Vaughn said they couldn't get out, so they couldn't get out. Jipyeon said he couldn't introduce himself properly then. Jipyeon said he was happy to welcome a disciple from Spolin. One indignantly said he was a Shaolin monk. One said that the guy is a little skinny for Namgung Mei's brother. Namgung said that one is sharp-tongued, so don't take offense. Namgung said that, however, there's something going on today? Is everyone around here in a hurry? Jipyeon said it's because of the martial arts competition. Namgung said that they are still a long way off. But suddenly a man shouted and said, "I wonder which class will be at the top of the competition. These betting odds are on a winner-take-all, organized by the Rooster class. And they start right now." Namgung heard about the bets and thought about it. The man was telling the guys to give a day for the class they support. If the class they bet on rises to the top, their cash reward will be doubled. "There is a 50% chance," Namgung asked. "Are they taking bets on the winner?" Jipyeon said of course, because everyone is so interested in this competition, because they are identifying new young talents. And the main character of the last competition was Brother Namgung Il. "What do the guys think? Which class will come out on top this time?" the guy asked. But suddenly someone behind him said that he wanted to bet 100 silver liang that the snake class would come out on top. "It's because there's a bio-murderer like Namgung in their midst." They exchanged glances for a long time, and it was obvious that Namgung was very angry with him for his past behavior. The guy said, "What to do now? It seems like there's no one to help Namgung this time." One asked him, "Is he the guy that Moon broke his finger with?" The guy got angry and called Vaughn a pig, and asked who told him to interfere in the conversation of strangers. Looks like Vaughn believes all the false rumors. In fact, let him know he's not the cool Shaolin. One laughed out loud and said that he thought the guy had decided to talk about himself like that. "Does he think he's the one who thought you were something because you're hanging around with the Sekiendang people?" The guy said the guy's face looked familiar to him. He wondered where he'd seen him. The boy said his name was Namgung Jipyeon. They met when they were kids, but it's been a long time. The guy said he remembered him. "He's from the sideline, but he showed up at the family reunion." Then he had to take care of him. Jipyoung said that if brother Namgung hadn't stepped in, he might have gotten hurt. He was probably just doing it for his own pleasure. This guy tried to hit the kid with a stick, but Namgung May reacted in time and deflected his blow. Jaifan said it was his turn to protect his brother. It was before his Tan John was damaged. Tang Wu Ju has been training hard since the incident. He was recognized as a true talent of the Tang family. But even now, he still hates him. Namgung May told Jipyoung that he shouldn't be so tense. He's not his opponent. The boy said he knows, but he's not the crybaby he used to be. Namgung said he's not a boy anymore either. Suddenly, one attacked that guy and a battle broke out. The man was shouting that the class that fought with the pig class was the snake class, the guys from which they hadn't seen all this time. They clashed before the preliminary competition even started. Vaughn said, "Wow, it looks like he got mad at the dumbass." The guy drew his sword and attacked him and told him to die. But suddenly his sword broke and fell. The unknown man told them to stop. Fighting is forbidden inside Beck Academy, except for official competitions. The man said that unofficial unfair bouts and their union of the 5 strongest does not allow. Jipyoung said it's the rat class. Namgung said it's the disciplined class at Beck Academy. Jaifan said no, they just do it because it's fun. Namyoon was surprised to hear this answer, and wondered what the fun was in it. The man told them if they wanted to find out who was stronger, let them do it with dignity. Let the boys, he said, fight during the Beck Academy's martial arts competition. But if they want to continue their fight, they will have to fight him, and his brothers as well. The guy told V that the guys in the rat class are here. What's he gonna do? V thought about it, and said, that's fine. He was just about to teach them a lesson if they were acting like heroes, huddled together. He shouted at them to attack instead of standing on top. They all came down to earth together, and surrounded the boys saying they were guarding justice. The alliance of the 5 strongest. The guy said they're going to stop them from breaking discipline at Beck Academy. The betting director said that the guys from the rat class have joined in. It looks like they'll be able to see the bouts before the competition even starts. V didn't wait long, and wanted to return the favor by attacking one of them. But the guys didn't like it, so they got together to attack. Namgung May saw that the guy was attacking using the power of recoil. This kind of joint attack gave him goosebumps. Vaughn said it's because they're brothers? When he looks at them, he sees the amazing interaction. Jip Hun said that the rat class kids don't have much individual ability. However, if they use joint techniques, their skills are judged to be comparable to those of great masters. Vaughn said that means they can only bunch up. They can only attack together, so they have a better chance. V attacked the guy with a rain of blade. But the guys managed to stop his attack. Rat class with their joint attacks. Not for nothing they got into this class. The guy told Vi that all he can do is attack from behind with daggers. Vi said that it seems like the Sakandang family is nothing special either. The guy said sure, because nothing can stand up to justice. He began to gain strength, and saw that these guys were so arrogant. He decided to show them the true horror of the Tang family. Namgung saw V and shouted for everyone to hide. It's his poison attack that can hit anyone and hurt them. V attacked them with a poisonous lotus dagger. The guy shouted to his brothers to reflect so that the people around him wouldn't get hurt. The guy told them to concentrate their internal energy and block the poison attack. Namgung saw that they wouldn't succeed. If they just tried to block the poison, it would only end up being a battle of attrition. If we don't finish this in an instant. V increased his attack and the guy's swords began to burst in their hands, and everyone began to fall. The guy said that Seonsaeng dropped out, so their balance is ruined. Now they have to retreat. One of the brothers said he would sacrifice himself to stop him. Meanwhile, the guy said how could he sacrifice his brother? Didn't they agree that they are united even in the face of death? Namgung saw that the poison made it harder for them to move, so their combined attacks couldn't show their full strength. Namgung threw the girl into One Fee's arms and told him to catch her, and started to fight against Vi himself, and attacked with the power control. Namgung grabbed his hands and told Tanwi to stop doing that. We told him how dare he stand in his way. But suddenly the teacher came in, and said that they raised a big buffoon on the grounds of Beck Academy. They'll come to their senses after being bitten by dogs. Namgung felt a very strong energy when they were being separated. It was the teacher of the dog class, Soghwa, and told them to follow her to the mentor hall. Seo asked them what they were thinking when they started such a scuffle in the center of the academy. The guy said they did it for justice. Seo said it's nonsense what he's saying, and they should have kept quiet in such a situation. Seo pointed her finger and told Namgung to tell her who was at fault and the reason for the situation. If he lies or speaks out of emotion, she, as the disciplinary officer, will initiate his expulsion from the academy. Vi thought about why she asked Namgung Mei. If they were expelled because of this, it would be embarrassing to be shown in front of the family members. Namgung said that the conflict was between the snake class and the pig class. Of course, the guys from the rat class got involved and aggravated the situation, but the primary reason lies in their long-standing conflict with Tanwi. He's the one who has a problem with him. Gibson said that the teacher of the dog class is called a rabid dog among the students. In a good situation, she treats them well, but if she gets angry, Namgung only had her words in his head about his exclusion if he lied. He decided that he had to tell it like it is, without exaggerating or understating it. He said the kids in the rat class were innocent. It was all because of him and Tanwi. Seo asked him if he wants to say that it's just the two of them, right? Namgung said yes, and he's willing to be punished, but to settle their long-standing dispute with Tang Vi, he wants to ask for an official fight in the Peng Academy arena. First, Mr. Namgung, he killed a lot of people along the way. The old man told him that he must have had a hard time. If he gave it to him, he could only give a little money, but he wouldn't have to personally step in. The gentleman asked if he thought it could be solved with money. The old man said it was just the way it was done. He doesn't know how it is. The master said that Namgung doesn't negotiate with bandits. The old man realized that he didn't think it through. The master said that nothing should tarnish the name of the Namgung family. It's time for them to move on, not stay where they are. Seo said that Namgung doesn't blame anyone and speaks his mind. She likes it a lot. That he's asking for an official fight is very funny. Namgung asked Tang Vi if he would agree to fight. Tang Vi said he was from the Sakandang family and also asked the teacher to allow her to use poisonous techniques during the fight. Seo said to Namgung, "Does he understand?" He said proudly and confidently that he doesn't care how or where, because if poisonous techniques are banned, it could make the results biased. Seo said she approves of the official fight. Namgung vs. Vi. It's time for a fight. Did Vi tell him he really challenged him to an official fight in hopes of winning? Namgung said that if they were talking about the past, he couldn't have imagined it then. But it's different now. We laughed, and said that the guy was talking nonsense in a serious tone. He dug Namgung Mei's grave for himself. He's going to kill himself with that poison. Seo said that the official fight between Tang Vi and Namgung Mei is about to begin, and she's the witness to this fight. The gong sounded and Namgung was happy that he had a chance to see the results of his training. We immediately attacked the guy with his poison dagger. Namgung remembered this technique and said that if he moved like Mon Bo, he could also attack him. Vi said he's stupid, he thinks he'll buy the same counterattack twice? But then he tricked him and threw a punch. Namgung realized that he wasn't the only one who had grown during this time. Before he could get up, he was already at the Lego lizard and ready to attack. One saw that Namgung was hit with poison from the beginning. The longer the fight lasts, the worse it will be for him. The guys told them that Mei's not losing right now, and tell them to be quiet. Jipyong said that after poisoning, the body becomes disobedient, and it's more difficult to control the internal energy. The guy said that justice is not destroyed that easily. We told Namgung that he's doing great. But then he retaliated. Vi told him not to use his energy too much, because the more energy he uses, the faster the poison will fill his body, spreading through the energy flow, so he will feel suffering worse than death. Namgung looked at himself and said he was fine. Vi asked him, "It seems he's showing the first signs of poisoning, right?" With him, he decided to end it by attacking him. Namgung repelled his attack and said that he thought it was strange, since he had no problem using internal energy. Vi told him that it looks like he wants to win before the poison spreads to his body. But he has no hope. Vi flew high into the sky and attacked the guy with a heavenly rain of daggers. Namgung thought and grabbed one of the daggers that was covered in poison. Seeing this, he realized that Vi was definitely using poison and poisonous techniques. Maybe the moment the poison penetrated his body, the yang energy of his abdomen would destroy the power of the poison. One couldn't understand when he saw this. Namgung Tano was hit by Tang Vai's poisonous attack, but he showed no signs of poisoning at all. Jiphyun said that if there's no sign of poisoning, then maybe Hen has that legendary resistance to all poisons. Vaughn said it can't be, a state of resistance to all poisons. But it better be true. Seo watched the martial arts, and was surprised because she had prepared an antidote to help him just in case. But it seems that Kamen-dok had already done something. V told Namgung that by the looks of him, he's holding up very well. Namgung charged his attack and said cockroach is his phrase. We couldn't understand, since Namgung must be poisoned, why his strength doesn't decrease at all. Namgung gained strength and decided to end it all by attacking him with his devastating blows. V saw that he was not affected by the poison. Namgung turned into a monster and was just destroying V. The guy thought that Namgung must have agreed to use the poison because he had something to counteract it. V recalled his memories from his childhood, how he bullied him. And now he can't lose to someone as pathetic as him. In that case, he'll finish him off with one of the Tang family's 8 terrifying poisons, the instant death poison. The poison of instant death. This poison is extracted from the 2-headed millipede. And as soon as it touches the skin, it immediately spreads through all energy streams. So if you don't drink the antidote within a couple hours, you die. One of the 8 oldest poisons, only allowed to the future head of the Tang family. But suddenly Namyeon saw that something had changed in V. But at that moment he took a balloon out of his pocket and smashed it. Seo said it was poisonous fog. She ordered everyone to cover their noses and mouths and move as far away as possible. Namgung was left alone because the fog had blocked his view, so V got him and slashed his hand with a poison dagger. But Seo intervened when she saw Namyeon's injury and asked him what he was doing to Tang Waiju. Namgung fell to the ground and Seo pulled him out of that fog. His entire body was covered in blood and wounds and even his body was oozing blood, but then he remembered his teacher telling him that he could control both forward and backward energy flows at the same time. Namgung then wondered how it was possible to control the flow of energies in both forward and reverse directions. The teacher said that the boy must be surprised, because he had never seen anything like this in his life. When controlling the flow in the opposite direction, there is a danger of damaging the energy channels, so managing forward and backward flows simultaneously carries an incomparably high danger. It is comparable to turning your body into a powerful bomb. Because the energy revolutions are done simultaneously, so they have to share energy channels. They are one, but different. They cannot meet, but they must meet. So you can't, not even for a second, allow the slightest mismatch. Namgung asked him what would happen if he made a mistake. The teacher said that there would be an explosion at the place where the forward and backward streams met, and the energy channel would break.